ID that fires behind actually works.
Right,
it's because you're not supposed to do that. You're not an engineer. It's against the rules. It's a violation. That's one.
I'm going to call OSHA. That'd have been a hell of a way to start the show. Laying on the ground. Hey, everybody. Rob Rush shows on your radio. It's the fan. Oh, this light is bright. Can you see me on the screen? Watch.
Yes. And that counted.
Oh, I look like Seamus.
I didn't have my mic on, so that's one. I'm going to go ahead and self-report.
I'm going to have to change
You had your back turned. You probably did. I mean, so you wouldn't have seen it. But yeah.
Wait, my ring light.
And you're wearing green.
And I'm wearing green.
Yeah, so that works.
Fella!
The problem is you're not nearly as pale.
No, I'm not.
As him.
The ring light went out in the studio. I turned out one of our studio lights onto me for the stream, and now I look like I just got like my entrance music just played, and I'm about to walk out as entrant number 27 in the Royal Rumble. Both spots, 27 winning in both Rumbles on Saturday night. I'm assuming you've.
Why would you interrupt me? I was enjoying that. I'm quoting Seamus.
Bella!
As Seamus stood back and just watched everything that Joe Hendry did, and then got mad when Joe Hendry got eliminated. That was great.
I was also upset. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. You know, Lonzo, the other seductive voice you hear on the show. I really wish this would have been a more entertaining sports weekend, you know? No football. I'm like, oh, this is boring. This sucks. This stinks. There's nothing fun to watch. The clash at Bowman Gray Coliseum going late into the night last night. Boring. Rory McIlroy going twos on 571-yard par fours. Boring. Huge baseball deals going down. Boring. Royal Rumble Saturday night. Boring. Pro Bowl game last night. Boring. Luka Doncic getting traded at, not a joke, 12:15 Saturday morning. Boring.
Wow, that was funny. So just got done watching the Royal Rumble, played a video game for a little while, was going into the bedroom, decided to turn the TV on, and there it was. Like, what?
I almost texted you like,
oh, I was there.
Dude, question mark?
Oh, yeah. It must have just happened because it was right around when it happened. I turned on breaking news. Like, what happened? No, this ain't real.
You know, it's every now and then, like 2-3 times a year, something will happen that I will text Lonzo and be like, question mark? Like, am I high right now? What is happening right now? I got home on Saturday. Went and watched the Royal Rumble with Joey B and the boys. Threw a little basement party. Got home. Got in front of the TV. Played some Marvel Rivals. That's my new game right now. Big fan, by the way. A lot of fun. Played some Marvel Rivals. And then it got to be about 12 o'clock. I got home about 11. Went in the room. I was still amped up from the Rumble, obviously. Went in the bro cave, started playing some Marvel Rivals, hanging out, talking junk with the fellas on the interwebs. And then about 12 o'clock, I was like, all right, I think I've had enough of this. I've had a long day. I didn't get the siesta today. Let's call it a day. So, threw on the old PJs, threw on the old comfy ones, went down to the bed, laid down in the bed, and I was like, you know what? One more doom scroll of the social media. Let's find out what's going on in the world. Let's see what chaos and mayhem is breaking out on planet Earth before I go to bed. There's nothing that gets me more ready to fall asleep and head off into slumberland than finding out what catastrophes are taking place around the globe. And I pop online. And what do I see but a Shams bomb that says Luka Doncic is being sent to the LA Lakers in return for Anthony Davis. And my immediate reaction was, Shams got hawked. Shams got hawked late at night. This obviously isn't correct. And then I started scrolling and I thought, wait a minute. This is popping up other places now. Is this for real? This was at 12:12 at nighttime. And I thought, Shem's got hacked, right? Like, there's no way this is real. And then other people started going in for about 7 minutes, 8 minutes. For about 7, 8 minutes, Twitter was nothing but people going, Shem's hacked? Question mark?
Yeah, because I mean, you gotta check sources and all that. You just can't believe everything first thing you see. You just can't anymore.
I'm gonna give Shams credit for this. Since he took over from the captain of the Woj bomb machine, right? When Woj stepped out and Shams checked in and became that guy for ESPN, I'm going to say I don't think he's missed. It seems like when he pushes send on the old tweeting machine, he's right. He's pretty much nailed it so far in that role. To the point that, there's a small list of sports reporters that if something goes out on their Twitter account, I'm like, that's legit. Shefty used to be on that. I will acknowledge, even I, like, when I get a Shefty bomb, I'm like, all right, let me go follow the paper trail here. Shefty used to be on that list, not so much anymore. I'm not saying he's like bad, and just, I'm a little skeptical is all. There's a small, very small, tiny, fractional number of reporters that when they pop off a tweet that has something like that, I'm like, all right, good as gold. This guy's never missed. Shams has never missed that I'm aware of. Not that's come across my screen. I saw that. My immediate reaction was somebody like Shams left his cell phone sitting on the table at a restaurant somewhere, and some waiter was like, I'm about to completely unhinge the NBA world. I'm going to make up a trade. Because here's the thing. People immediately went on their their PlayStations, their Xboxes or whatever, fired up NBA 2K. And, in GM mode, you can propose trades. You can set up trades and you can simulate them. If you went on to your NBA 2K, and I watched 100 people doing this on the internet on their, their Twitters or their Insta Reels or whatever. If you went on the internet on NBA 2K and you popped this trade into the Xbox said, no, why would we let you make this trade? That's a 25-year-old superstar. Why would we let you send him out for a 31-year-old guy? By the way, I heard the greatest nickname I've ever heard in sports, Lonzo. I can't believe I've never heard this. Anthony Day-to Davis. Never heard that. Kind of love it.
It's pretty accurate.
It's pretty good. Why would we let you send a 25-year-old generational superstar, one of 3 players in the NBA active, that has like 20,000 points? It's like him, LeBron, and I don't know who the other one is right now. Not the point. I'm so spun in circles about this. Why would we let you do that? Your NBA video game was like, that's unrealistic, bud. Yet here it comes down the pipe at 12:12 in the morning that Luka Doncic is on his way to LA in return for Anthony Davis. Like, it's unbelievable. And when I say it's unbelievable, I mean that phrase literally. Like, when I saw it, I was incapable of belief. I was like, no, this is not real.
This is one of those things my wife yells into the game room and says, hey, I just saw this. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And then immediately go check and go, oh no.
If I wouldn't have popped on Twitter and saw this and if I'd have stayed playing video games and the wife would have yelled from across, hey, I don't know if you saw this, because she'll do this. Like, she's got the TV on or whatever, and she will sometimes, if I'm working or I'm recording something or I'm playing video games, she'll like open the door if there's like a big breaking headline that even comes into her world, right? If there's a big breaking headline that comes into her world, she'll like knock on the door. She'll open the door. Usually my door's not closed. She'll pop her head in the door and she'll be like, hey, did you see blank? Right? Did you see that this guy did this or that happened? Because she likes, she's awesome. She likes to be involved in my world. I appreciate that. If she would have been awake, it was 12:15 at night. She definitely was not. But had she been awake and popped her head in the door and she'd have been like, hey, honey, I don't know if you saw this, but one of my, she follows these accounts, though, that are like, I don't really know how to describe them. They're like, they're accounts that report on sports, but they do it from like more of a pop culture perspective, right? Like, they report on sports, but it's more of like, they're casual accounts, which again, fine, great, awesome. If that gets my wife involved in my love, awesome. I'm here for it. She follows one account where a guy, it's actually really entertaining. I may try to find one. A guy explains, NFL storylines by comparing them to like celebrity storylines and real reality TV storylines and stuff like that, right? He's like, all right, so I want you to imagine that Luka Doncic is this guy, and he was the Bachelor in season 3, and the Lakers are this girl who got the rose. But remember that the Bachelor really liked this girl over here, but she did. Explains it that way, and the ladies love it, which is great. That's awesome. I want them involved. I love that they're involved if that's what it takes. If she would have popped her head in the door and she would have been like, hey, honey, one of my people on Instagram just said that Luka Doncic, I feel like that's a name I've heard you say before. Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. I would have been like, oh, bless your heart, sweetheart. Thank you for trying. But obviously that's a silly, dumb thing that would never happen. And you should unfollow whatever account told you that. Turns out that would have been shams. That'd have been shams. It'd have been a shams bomb. Look, we're gonna talk about this today. And for those of you that aren't basketball people, and for those of you that are basketball people, but you would prefer that Zoe and I keep it like regional basketball, which is understandable. There's a reason we're going to talk about this trade. Zoe, I have been an NBA fan since I was, honestly, a child. Okay. My Uncle Mike, I've told the story before. My first word was basketball. My Uncle Mike was a baller. He got me into the game early. Basketball is my first love. Okay. Basketball is my first love. It's my favorite sport. I know that's blasphemy in the South, but I have to set it up for this conversation. I have been an NBA fan for as long as I can remember. Even when the NBA has given me reasons to walk away, I never have. Zoe, I cannot remember a trade that stopped the world the way that Luka trade. It was 12:15 in the morning. It's all anybody was talking about. You know, on X, on the phone app, over on the side of the app, it shows you like who's live, right? Doing like chats, doing like stop bys, whatever they call them on X nowadays. It used to be Twitter Spaces. I don't know if they're still that, because you have to pay for them now, and I'm poor, so I don't. It was 12:15 at night. Ordinarily, like on my follower list, there might be like a guy live, and it's usually like, you know, our guys Q and those guys from the Welcome Home Pod, or, you know, one of the Clemson guys, like one of the reporters will go live late at night if there's news, whatever. Ordinarily, it's somebody like that. After I read this trade news in my bed, Zoe, I got out of the bed and went back into the bro cave because I'm like, I can't. What? This is what we're talking about now. I don't care if it's 12:15. No, we have to address this. Even if it is just a series of smart-ass late-night tweets, I have to address this. I got out of bed. I went to the bro cave. I fired up the laptop. I'm like, just in case, like, let me follow up. Let me see. Like, I kept waiting for what the other term of the deal was, right? They sent Anthony Davis in a first-round pick and also 17 first-round picks next year, because that's more of a solid one-for-one. I got up, I went I went to the bro cave, I fired up the laptop, I opened up X just to kind of follow along with the reporting world. And there were like 29 Twitter spaces going on, all of them that were just like, Luka for AD ? WTF, Dallas ? Yo ? Right? Like those were the titles of the spaces. I have been an NBA fan since I was a child. Zoe, I do not recall in the history of the NBA, at least as far as I have been involved in watching it, I do not recall a trade that riled up not our fan base. Because I got to tell you right now, this trade is so wild. I felt a new feeling on Saturday night. You know what that feeling was? Sadness for Dallas fans. I've never felt sadness for Dallas fans, any of them, at any point.
I still don't. I mean, I get this is an unprecedented what happened, but at least they didn't, when he's playing well and not hurt, it isn't like they got a scrub back. I mean, it isn't like they traded Luka for 6 cans of Dr. Pepper. I mean, at least they got someone back, maybe not equal. I mean, in his day may have been equal, but he's still not a pushover nobody.
He's not a pushover nobody. I'll tell you what he is. He ain't him. When I say him, I mean that's our guy. That's the centerpiece. That's the guy. Anthony Davis is a number 2. He's a Robin. There will never be a day where AD's Batman.
Okay.
Never.
So when does Kyrie get blamed? Has it happened yet?
I'm going to tell you what.
Has he got blamed yet?
That was a thought that I had, but here's the thing. Kyrie only accepted going back to Dallas because of Luka Doncic. Now, there's a bunch of hypotheses about why this happened, right? There's a bunch of hypotheses about why this happened, like why this move now. Why would you trade a 25-year-old face of the league for a 31-year-old guy whose nickname is Street Clothes? Why would you trade that? And Nico Harrison, the GM for Dallas, came out and he tried to explain it away while he was holding Jason Kidd hostage, by the way. I don't know if you've seen this video. I may pull it up and play it on the stream later. All right. Him and Jay Kidd are sitting at a podium and somebody's like, yo, like, huh? And Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, is sitting there next to Jay Kidd. And he's like, well, you know, at the end of the day, I make the decisions and Jason Kidd supports me. And Jason Kidd, Lonzo, is sitting on the side and he's got his hat backwards and his glasses on. The ultimate I don't want to be here look, right? Like when my wife says we're going to do this thing and I don't want to do that thing. It's backwards hat, ripped up jeans, big hoodie, right? Like that is the ladies, if you ever want to go somewhere with your man and he comes downstairs with the backwards baseball cap and the oversized hoodie and the ripped up jeans, just know that's his I don't want to do this uniform. All right. We're not going to outright be like, hey, I don't want to do this, sweetheart. I'm doing it for you. But that's the uniform of make it quick.
Or you're Rob Brown, you don't want to deal with the paparazzi.
There's also that, you know. Got to give him old photos. Jason Kidd's sitting there and he's like leaned back in his chair and he's got his arms crossed and he's just like looking around. Like I'm like, Jason, blink twice if you need help, buddy. Blink twice if you need help. There's a lot to this trade. There are theories floating around that Luka Doncic, who remember got banged up back around Christmas and took a handful of weeks off. Apparently he hasn't been taking his conditioning seriously. Apparently he got up to like 260 pounds. Now in fairness, people think Luka's like 6'1". Dude's 6'6". He ain't a small cat.
On Amy's show, she was interviewing a radio guy from there and they're trying to act like he drinks too much.
Yeah. And I'm going to address that because yesterday I sat in on BetMGM Game Day yesterday from 8 to 11 on the BetQL network. And we had one of the guys on from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. Eric Chiafalo, who's a big name down there, like big name. And we talked to him. This dude not only sounded like he was completely devastated, but he was kind of like, it's a conditioning thing. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of how we got here. One of the most, here he is. Tell me that man's not like absolutely ready to get the hell up out of that building right now, Lonzo.
Yeah, he's not.
That dude's done.
He's also devastated.
For sure.
Because he just lost the centerpiece of his team.
But he's got to go out there and pretend sitting next to the GM like, hey, we got Anthony Davis. We're good.
No, he's also like, I'm going to get blamed.
Oh, for sure. He's getting fired next year.
And I'm getting fired. Yep. Exactly.
100%. All right, we're going to talk more about this because, listen, even if you're not an NBA fan, it's a ridiculous-ass story. Back after this, Rob Alonso, the Rob Brown Show. The Fan Upstate. Okay. Nosferatu. A little better?
No. Actually, I think you may have gained a little pigment there. I don't know how much though.
Back wall. Let me light up the back wall. Yeah, there we go. That looks a little more balanced, right?
Sure.
And our background's lit up for the first time. We can watch Lonzo play darts.
If you want to. I mean, it's an amazing thing. I'm not doing it now. It's too early. Darts is more of a after 7 kind of thing. If you can see the placement of the darts from the camera, I don't know that you can because it's pretty far away. I just want to say I didn't do that. That would be the afternoon show. And there is nothing like anywhere near the center. I want to point that out too. I'm guessing it was the afternoon show. It could have been Ben. I don't know. In here running Furman. I sent you 2 videos.
Okay.
There's a different angle of the speed thing, like a top down.
Dude, he got wrecked.
He did.
That was incredible.
And then Otis nearly killed him throwing over the back. That was wild.
He got wrecked. That was incredible. That took me from I'm so mad you're wasting a spot on him to like, okay. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, of a great one, Lonzo, and you. We are talking early because what else are we going to talk about? Luka Doncic headed out to Los Angeles, California, as part of a trade with the L.A. Lakers that sends the 25-year-old in return for Anthony Davis, the 31-year-old that they call street clothes. Not a straight up. I mean, it's a straight up trade in that it's a straight up trade.
What's Luka's injury?
Luka had a lower body, I believe a leg injury, but has been rehabbing. He was supposed to play Saturday night, and then he just didn't, and everybody was like, yo, where's Luka? He was supposed to come back tonight, and now we know. The Mavs held him out, and they held him out because obviously this deal was in place or at least was being finalized.
I think the Lakers held someone out too, but no one noticed because it's like, oh, he's hurt.
Because he's just held out.
Yeah, he's hurt again.
The Luka was supposed to return on Saturday night, and then he didn't, and nobody really knew why. And then it turns out it was because the Mavs were like on their way to sending Luka to LA. So there was a lot of discussion about how this went down. And apparently Luka must have, according to the Mavs, or at least in the Mavs' opinion, not been taking his conditioning seriously. And I will say, Luka had very clearly been putting on some weight. Okay? Like, that's not a secret. You could see it. He had been putting on some LBs.
I remember watching a highlight and going, who is that? And then realizing who it was like, oh. Yeah,
Luka in his prime, when he was like making the run to the finals, Luka was playing at like 227, 230, somewhere in that ballpark. Now, I do want to point out, because I came to the recognition yesterday that, and I don't know why this is, a lot of people assumed Luka like ain't really that big of a dude. He goes 6'6". All right, he's not, I mean, he ain't a 7-footer, but he goes 6'6". He's definitely in that small forward range. Luka apparently had gotten up to about 260. But here's the thing. He got up to 260, still owned every game that he played when he was healthy, right? Still owned every game he played. Now, I understand that. Here's what I'm going to say. There is got to be more to this story from the Mavericks side. There's got to be more. There's got to be, they found out about like a long-term injury possibility, right? Yeah, he's back, he's healthy, whatever, but Luka's got this injury that leads to further injury. There's got to be something that led the Mavs to believe that Luka can't be a franchise player for 10 years, right? Like, remember, Luka was His contract is still under team control for a few more years, but Luka Doncic becomes eligible, or was going to become eligible if he stayed with the Mavs, for a supermax contract, which would have been about $365 million this offseason. And it is possible that maybe the Mavericks just didn't want to pay Luka Doncic $365 million. Now, again, I have to assume there's a reason for that. The man brought you to an NBA Finals. I got to assume there's a reason for that. I don't know what that reason would be. Is he genuinely hurt? Maybe he really is. Maybe he really is everything that he's accused of being, not taking his conditioning seriously, allowing himself to put on a bunch of weight, which I don't care what you say, even if he's still dominant. He could not be as dominant as he could be at 260 as he would be when he was playing at 225, 227, 230 in that range. 30 extra pounds of weight is 30 more pounds that he's got to get up in the air when he's hitting those fadeaways or going to the rack strong or whatever. So I guess there's something to it. But that's still, all of that, even if all of that's true, that still does not get the Mavericks off the hook in this discussion. The reason why is, if they would have put Luka Doncic on the block for the entire NBA, do you think the best offer that they would have gotten is a 31-year-old Anthony Davis who, A, can't stay healthy? They call him street close. Somebody called him on my show on Saturday, Anthony Data Davis, which is my favorite nickname in sports right now. Anthony Davis and a first rounder. Do you think that that is the best that they could have gotten for a 25-year-old stud, even if you told the rest of the league, you know what, this leg injury he's got is an injury that very much could be a career lingering, maybe career shortening injury? I'm still giving you more than 80 in a first rounder. Right? Which means, and we got this report later in the day. I think Shams dropped this one too, and a bunch of other NBA journalists have jumped on board and said they've gotten wind that this is true too. Apparently, Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, only called the Lakers. Just only called Rob Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers, and was like, hey, Luka's on the block. You want him? They were like, I assume, first off, Rob Pelinka assumed it was a crank call, right? Bring, bring. Rob Pelinka. Hey, Rob, it's Nico Harrison. What's up, Nick? Hey, man, you guys want Luka Doncic? All right, who took Nico's phone? Who is this? Rob, it's Nico, for real. Dude, seriously, who is this? Bro, it's Nico Harrison. Do you want Luka Doncic? Yeah, I guess so. What do you want? LeBron? What do you want for Luka? You want like our whole bench? What do you want for this guy? I don't know, man. What do you feel about AD and a first? I got to assume Rob Pelinka said yes before Nico finished talking, right? Like, yeah, of course I do. And of course I'll give you AD for him. And then the story came out. And again, I don't know how much of all of this angle is true, but apparently Nico wanted AD. That was the goal of the trade for him, was Anthony Davis. The Lakers, since Anthony Davis became a Laker, despite protestations from many people on the flip side, the Lakers have never given an indication that they wanted to trade Anthony Davis. They probably should have, because again, and I've had this take since he left New Orleans, you want the reality about Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis ain't the guy. He's a good player, real good player, good four. Can be the five, can come out and play the wing if you need him to. Anthony Davis is a good player, to the point that I genuinely believe that Anthony Davis, if he wanted to, could be a face of the league caliber player. But the reality is, and pardon me for using a young man's expression, Anthony Davis ain't got that dog in him. He doesn't want to be a star. He wants to be with a LeBron James. You want to know why and I mean this, you want to know why I think Anthony Davis wanted out in New Orleans? It ain't because he was upset at the management. The management was giving Anthony Davis everything he wanted in New Orleans before he split town to become a Laker. You want to know why AD wanted out of New Orleans, in my opinion? AD wanted out of New Orleans because New Orleans was not going to find a big-time veteran superstar to let him be that guy. And Anthony Davis, I don't think, wants to be him. And again, not everybody got that dog in them. Having that dog in you is so rare, we have an expression for it. It's you ain't got that dog in you. Or he do got that dog in him. Anthony Davis ain't got that dog in him. He wants to be paired up with a guy so that he does not have to be the guy. Because if you're in that role, you're getting paid that much and you ain't the guy, especially in a place like LA, you're getting toe up from the flow up. So I'm not sure. I mean, I am sure. Nico Harrison said after the trade, and I'm going to play some audio from the press conference he did with Jason Kidd a little bit later on in the show. He said he believes in the NBA in 2025, and I'm not even saying he's wrong about this. If you want to win, you got to have interior defense and rebounding. Cool. I agree with that. You want to know why the Denver Nuggets, a team that outside of Jamal Murray really doesn't have a lot that jumps off the page at you, or NBA Finals threats, even when they're not the best version of the Denver Nuggets? Nikola Jokic, a guy who can shoot the three, who can score from range, but is never given enough credit for the way that he patrols the paint and grabs boards. That's it. Go look at it. Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards. Why are the Timberwolves a team that's been there? Rebounds, interior defense, Anthony Davis going and getting the rock off the glass. I don't disagree with Nico on that. But man, you've still got to have somebody that is able to do special things when they have the basketball. And you had that with Luka Doncic, even if he ticked you off. Now, we had on Saturday's show, Double D grabbed Eric Chiafolo, who is with 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, one of the two big stations there in the Big D. And first off, we had Eric on, and he did not sound well. Okay, the Dallas fans are not well because they know they got the shaft on this one. They're not well, and I was like, all right, we're getting all this take that the Mavs were actually unhappy with Luka Doncic behind the scenes. What reason is there for that? And Chiafolo said, well, they're unhappy about his conditioning, right? Like he goes out with his injury, he sits down for a couple of weeks to get it right, and apparently during that stretch while he was out, they wanted Luka Doncic to be like Kobe Bryant, right? He's in the gym at 3 a.m. He's on the hardwood at 5. He's back in the gym at 9 a.m. He's back on the hardwood at noon. He eats lunch. He's back at the gym. He's back on the hardwood, and he runs 4-day practices every single day. And he wasn't that. Luka Doncic was just kind of like rehabbing the injury like any other guy. And the Mavs looked and went, yeah, that's not the mentality of a superstar. All right, bro. Like, not everybody's Kobe. That man brought you to an NBA Finals. I mean, I get what you're saying, but like, not everybody is that. I said this. I don't even remember what segment we were talking about, but a week ago. Do you know why it is that guys that have the Mamba mentality stand out? Because it's rare. Why is it? Do you understand why when you talk about it? I don't care what business or whether it's the career field or a particular business. Do you know why it is that so many people always point to one guy and go, that guy's got a great work ethic? Because it's rare. All right. You know what else is rare? The talent Luka Doncic has. And he said him for Anthony Davis. I don't care if Luka Doncic walked into Nico Harrison's office daily and went, hey, dude, bleep you. You suck at your job. You don't get, even if you're going to give him up, just Anthony Davis in first, put that man on the block for the entire NBA to see and have yourself a bidding war for him, right? I would guess out of 30 teams, there's probably 20 of them that would have been interested in Luka Doncic. And you just called the Lakers. And on top of that, of all the teams, you just called the Lakers? Everybody hates the Lakers. What are we doing here, Nico? I don't know, man. What I do know is this trade is so ridiculous that for about 12 minutes, everyone on Twitter was unified in hating the Mavs, hating the Lakers, and for about 12 minutes, not believing this was real at all because it makes no sense. I don't remember an NBA trade stopping every other conversation in sports the way that this one did. All right, we'll circle back around to that later in the show. We got a lot more we got to get to. It is Big Game TM week here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
So one of the videos I sent you was Bianca Belair. Have you seen it?
I have not. Let me go look at it right now. Right now.
Because it's It's hilarious. If you watch her face.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah.
So that Luka video.
Also, apparently, Jordan Grace is hilarious.
Oh, when she got Piper up.
Uh-huh.
So I'm in the middle of doing the Upstate Pulse, and my wife put it on the stream. I was like, yeah, I saw it. Stop doing that. Just text me. How when she did it and then flew off, I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but it added to it so much.
Lawn Tractor Life, what up, big dog? Welcome in. Good to have you, partner. When I was watching with Jack and Joey B and Drew in Joey B's house, and when Braun hit speed with that spear, all of us, like in sync with each other, just yelled the F word. And it was the only moment of the night that we rewound to watch it again. We were like, I got to run it back right now. Like, we'll miss whoever's next, run it back. That was a blast. That was good. I am both surprised and completely unsurprised by the winner at the same time.
All right, so when it got down to 3, I told Lisa, I was like, Jay's winning.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't put him in those 3.
No.
And I was trying to figure out if I was disappointed or not that Cena wasn't going to win. But I thought it was kind of obvious once Jay was in the final 3 that they were going to give it to him. And I was shocked. I was like, are they really going to do that?
I will tell you that when he dumped Punk, I was like, if he wins this thing, I'm not watching WrestleMania. I'll tell you right now. I will not watch the entire event if that guy wins the Rumble. I'm out. 100%. I will be out. There's very few times.
I personally wish that Punk would have got double stomped the way Roman did.
Holy crap,
yeah.
Seth got all of that too.
Yeah, but Punk, if he did that to Punk, he would have went back and there would have been a big deal and he would be working for another company.
I don't know because I think we've had this discussion. Punk's out of bridges, right? He burns this one down. He's out of bridges. There's nowhere else for him to go.
Indies, I guess.
I guess
New Japan. I don't know if he's ever been in New Japan. They would love him over there.
Plus, on top of that, and this is what I think my biggest takeaway from the weekend was. The hallmark of the HHH era is working the dirt sheets. Like, he gets it. He is working the dirt sheets right now. So when I read all the stories coming out today about everything that happened after the Rumble, I'm like, you know why I know wrestling's about to be great again? Because I don't believe any of this. I don't believe any of it.
He is definitely building up Seth again.
Good. Like,
good. He was the least of the 3 for me. So, but double stomp was amazing. I don't know how.
Nasty. Look, Roman looks like he took that.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing. He went into it's. Was that planned, or did he hit the last second? Go, I'm going both feet. Let's see what happens here. Also, poor Corey Graves.
I was thinking about that during that show. I'm like, oh, that's got to be painful for him. It's 100%, he says, Rod.
Oh, he does.
100%.
So Saturday I had a no-show, which I had a idea that would happen, which is why I asked you to make picks.
Yep.
So there were two people picking yesterday or Saturday. It was Rod and Rob. So
Rod is definitely what is said in that promo right there. And I
Rod picked all the controversial calls Saturday, by the way.
This one?
Yeah, no, I'm talking about on the bracket.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Rod was definitely the heel.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because on this show,
I relish that.
Rod is definitely the heel.
For sure. For sure.
We all see when Rod shows up. We do.
I don't. It is what it is. I forgot my glasses. I don't have any that match this shirt yet, so you know.
I was gonna say your glasses are on your face.
Fashion, baby, fashion. It is Big Game TM week here on the Rod Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Super Bowl licks happening down in the Big Easy.
You know what's funny? The Luka story took away from the Kansas City's cheating story. Or the refs are cheating, rather.
The refs are cheating, correct.
Yeah, people stop looking at that.
It's also...
It'll die out by Wednesday.
Oh, no. Let's be real clear. It died out because America's attention span is about yay long.
That's what I mean. The Luka talk will die out by Wednesday, and they'll be back to the refs.
100%. I was going to say, it died out for now. Because we had all this going on. And you still got one more day. De'Aaron Fox got moved yesterday from Sacramento to San Antonio. WEEKᵃ Wembanyama has a running mate now, which, by the way, I kind of like the Spurs a lot now. Veteran leadership in CP3. Outside winger all-star and De'Aaron Fox. Supernatural freak of nature, WEEKᵃ Wembanyama in the middle. That Spurs team might be all right. Like, good.
They're unwatchable as long as the grump is still on the sideline.
You're a hater. How do you hate
that
Pops?
Dude's a punk. He's been a punk forever. And people who wouldn't tolerate that kind of attitude for people they work with, they're okay with. If we had someone around here who acted like that all the time, you'd be hating on that guy every single day.
Pops?
Yes.
No.
If someone had an attitude like that in this building, oh, for sure.
No.
He would be, if he was your boss, you'd be in trouble all the time. You'd be like, I cannot stand that guy. The problem.
I don't think there's a coach in the league that goes to bat for the boys like Pops does. I don't think there's a guy in the league as an HC that goes to bat for the boys like Pops does. If I had a boss like Pops, I wouldn't mind him being on my ass a little bit if I knew that he had my best interest whenever it was shielding me from everybody else. It is one thing to be on me, asking me to be better and demanding me to be better in my role as a player. But if I know that anytime there's outside criticism and critique, that guy's going to bat for me there, I'll take the criticism in the uni.
This is just like Belichick. All right, everything was fine, how he was and everything, and then they started losing. And then suddenly no one cared for his attitude or anything. When's the last time the Spurs did anything?
I mean, about the same time that they lost a crop of generational players all at the same time. And I'm going to tell you right now, what they're building in San Antonio right now, 2 years from now, they're a threat.
Have the Dallas Cowboys won a playoff game since the Spurs won the championship?
God, no. The Dallas Cowboys haven't won a playoff game, or they've won one playoff game since I was 10.
When's the last time Spurs won the championship?
Again, they lost a generational crop of stars and it paid everything. Let me ask you this, and I mean this is not meant to like toss a grenade in the conversation, though
whenever
it might.
You say that it is. Okay.
No,
Rod.
it's not. It's a genuine question because you and I, listen, you know what it is? I wonder if, and I mean this, every time we talk Aaron Rodgers and I say that guy's a bum and I don't want him anywhere near my team, you like thinly veil accuse it of, it's because of Aaron Rodgers' politics away from the league, which is fine.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Which is fine.
And I'm very offended that you would even
sure
accuse me of such.
Let's pretend that's accurate. Is that maybe the inverse with Pops? Because Pops is a pretty outspoken, going the other direction guy.
Oh, he's a jerk, man. I don't care about your politics. There are jerks on both sides. He's a jerk. Last time they won was 2014.
Been a minute. But only one team can do it. It ain't easy. I'm going to tell you right now.
That's 11 years.
My man
11 years of that attitude.
My man got De'Aaron Fox on that team, CP3 as a clubhouse leader. WEEKᵃ Wembanyama
right, so would you say that
I believe in aliens now, by the way. It's WEEKᵃ Wembanyama.
This is his best team in years. Would you say that?
Now with De'Aaron Fox on it? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So when they bow out in the first round, you have to blame him, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Context matters in everything.
Mm-hmm. They still got half a season, right?
Yeah, give or take. Still got All-Star games coming up, the 16th, I think, as the halfway point? Yeah. I think there's a very good chance. I think there's a very good chance that the Spurs could become, I'll say, compelling this year. I will also point out that they are 12th of 15 in the West right now. They are 16 and a half games back of the lead. Like, that's a lot of ground to make up with them finally giving somebody two pops that ain't Wemby or Chris Paul.
There's a video someone posted, and the caption is Dallas area orthopedic surgeons finding out the Mavs are starting AD, Kyrie, and Clay next season.
That's the sound of people running money together.
Yeah, it's a video of money laundering. That's exactly what it is. They're all
incredible.
very excited.
It's going to be, I don't know, man. I like I said, Shoddy gets HC for the Cowboys, and then they send away the best basketball player the Mavs have had since Dirk Nowitzki was in his prime, and you could have built around that dude, and instead you send him out for Anthony Davis.
Nice. I'm not going to apologize for not liking mean people, okay? As far as Popovich goes, I care less about his politics. If I want to do the politics thing, I'd be talking about the coach of
Steve Kerr.
Steph. Yeah. It was just hard. It's hard.
I'd say this.
Yeah,
I think Pops is more outspoken than Steve Kerr is.
Yeah. Well, anyways, you know what Steve Kerr isn't? He's not mean. At least he doesn't. Popovich is a mean person.
I think he's just an old guy.
No, he was mean before he was old. How long has he been on that team? Coaching that team?
I don't know. We just ended up on different Pops positions here. I don't view him. I view him as an ornery old guy that's endearing to me in a way. Like, endearing to me. There's ornery old guys that I'm like, hey, you're an ornery old guy and I don't want to be around you. And then there's ornery old guys that you're like, okay, I get it. I kind of like this guy.
If they're a little bit funny, I guess, but I mean.
See, I think Pops is. But that's just me.
Something else just popped up. Jerry Jones realizing he's not the dumbest sports GM in Dallas anymore.
I do like that. Let's see. A couple of texts that have come in. 844-326-3663 is the text line at 844-326-3663. Here are the texts that have been coming in so far. Spartanburg J texts the show. Said, morning, boys. Job got me on the road the next 6 to 7 weeks. I'll be listening on the Odyssey app. Have a great week. Yeet! From Spartanburg J.
Hey, Spartanburg J, make sure you listen for at least an hour a day.
Yeah, because our Slam Dunk in Vegas competition underway right now. If you go to the Odyssey app, AUDACY, it's free. Download and register yourself. Then you listen to the Fan Upstate for 60 cumulative minutes any given day of the week. You'll be entered into our our Slam Dunk in Vegas competition. If you win out of the national pool, you're getting a trip for 4 to Las Vegas. You're getting airfare, you're getting accommodations, and you're getting $5,000 for every one of your 4. That is $20K in spending cash for a trip to Vegas. All you got to do, Odyssey app, register. It's free. Listen to the Fan Upstate for 60 minutes. You're automatically entered. Jay, have a safe trip, buddy. Let us know when you're checking in. Texter said, internet sleuths believe that the relationship between Dallas and Luka is fractured because he drinks a beer before and after games. He shows up out of shape and has discipline issues. Okay, let's say, for the sake of the conversation, Texter, let's say that all that's true. Let's say Luka knocks down a brewski before every game. Let's say he stone colds a brewski after every game. Let's say that while he's out on the injury, he got out of shape. He's not working to stay in shape. All of those are definitely things that are bad. Hell, I'll agree with you that all of those are reasons that I would be willing to move on from Luka Doncic. So let's say it's all true and I'm willing to move on from him. You send him to LA for Anthony Davis in a first. Do you think if you put Luka on the block, you made the announcement, you came out Saturday night, instead of announcing that you sent him to LA, the only team you talked to, you grabbed the mic and you said, hey, Luka Doncic is on the block. We're ready to move on from Luka. Open bidding, high man wins. You think you're getting Anthony Davis in a first is the best offer you're going to get? Get out of here with that. Come on. Even if everything you said is correct, the internet sleuths are right, and the response is Nico Harrison hates that Luka downs a Coors Light after every game. Is that is that really a good reason to ship out a guy who's averaging 28.5 a game? And B, if it is, are you shipping him out for Anthony Street Clothes Data Davis and a first.
All right,
Stop it.
Here's how we're going to know that the drinking thing is reality when he signs his next contract. If they put it in there, something about him not being able to drink that much.
What if I told you? If you go out and you give me 28.5 a game, I'll buy you the 6-pack myself. Are you kidding me? I will buy you the 6-pack and I'll get you a lift home every night on the franchise. I will write the Uber clause in your contract. You want to knock back a 12er in the locker room? Tell you what, Luka, any game you give me a 30-piece, I'll buy you the most expensive beer you want and I'll get you the Uber for free.
Wow, that sounds like someone with a problem.
No, it doesn't. It sounds like somebody who enjoys a beer.
It absolutely, you always defend that, but it absolutely sounds like the thing is, I wonder how much of this is true, because there's no need to defend anything. If this is the reason, if it's that bad that you are willing to trade that kind of a talent, what if it is that bad? You would think they would try to get him help if it was, because this is probably just a way to cover what everyone's going to consider a bad thing. But what if he really does have that kind of problem and he drank his way out of Dallas?
Then I'm going to tell you.
What I'm saying is, don't discount the possibility of that being a reason.
I don't care if okay, first off, let's start with this.
Not everyone's you either.
I don't disagree. Let's start with this. Drinking beer ain't illegal. This ain't a guy who's shooting up heroin in the locker room. All right? He didn't get caught sniffing coke off of lady parts after a win. He drank a few beers. I'd say he got hammered after every win. All right? Maybe you'd say, all right, Luka, we feel like maybe you got a problem. All right? Maybe there's an issue here. From what I've seen, seems to me like Luka's just a guy who likes beer. And turns out, I'm living proof. Somebody who likes to go, I had a good day, I'm going to crack a brewski or two. That's not a problem. That's just a guy who likes beer. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm going to start with internet sleuths figure out the dude's getting hammered after a game. Okay, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. And I'm going to go ahead and say there'd be a little bit more evidence, because it ain't like once you get schmammered, it just like stops. You just leave the facility and you're good now. Like, the world is full of TMZs. We know. Unless
he's your guy. And if he's your guy, you don't release that stuff. I'm talking about fans. If you're fans, you don't want that getting out there. But now suddenly he's not your guy anymore. And maybe more stuff comes out.
Again, the world is full of TMZs that don't give a damn what uniform you have. If they can put something juicy out there like Luka's getting schmammered after a game.
I get what you're saying.
The only way it's not out is if the Mavs have been actively protecting that. And if that's the reason, then it's kind of on them for allowing it, right?
It is. But here's the thing. We have seen college towns hiding things for years. When something happens, they brush it under the rug because they're a college town. This guy gets caught for drunk driving. This guy gets caught for this. Suddenly it's a slap on the wrist. It's gone because it's a college town. How's Dallas any different?
There is a massive difference between Tallahassee and Dallas, Texas, with one of the biggest and most well-known NBA franchises out there, right? Like, the NFL can't keep anything under the table, right? Like that's part of the reason I don't believe in the conspiracy theory. They can't keep a damn secret. Texter said, did Jerry Jones take over as GM of the Mavericks? Crazy trade. Texter said, screw the Spurs. Tell me how the Mavs trade Luka for a ham sandwich. And I know that the news reports say LeBron had nothing to do with it, but we all know that's crap. Is there a teammate who he hasn't screwed over yet?
All right. Here's the thing. Do we all know that?
No, we don't. Because there is apparently, and I have not seen it yet, but there is apparently at least a kind of away from everything else. And Shams reported, and again, I'm giving Shams the benefit of the doubt until something comes out that's wrong. Benefit of the doubt to Shams. Shams reported the same night LeBron was at dinner with his family when he got the news that this trade went down. Anthony Davis had to the point, there's a video going around. I have seen this one. Anthony Davis is in the post-game interview after Saturday night when the Lakers, for some reason, somehow wrecked the Knicks on the road. There is a video where Anthony Davis is in a chair in the locker room doing the post-game interview. And mid-interview, somebody's like, hey, Anthony, your Lakers legacy, how do you feel about it? And you can tell he has this weird look on his face like, why are you asking me this, right? Like, we're not even at the All-Star break. Why are you asking me this? And another reporter says, check your phone. And then the video cuts out. So I don't know if that was a tease for whatever else, but apparently somebody said to AD in the post-game press conference, check your phone. They did not know about this until it went down. I don't think this is a LeBron thing. I think this is Nico Harrison once done with Luka, which I assume that means Luka slept with his wife. That's the only thing I can come up with here, right? And he wanted him done, wanted it gone, whatever. Felt Anthony Davis was the move. Called Rob Pelinka, the GM of the Lakers, and was like, take him. He's yours. Give me Anthony Davis. We'll call it good. And of course the Lakers are going to say yeah to that. Are you kidding me? Any team would have said yeah to that. So I don't know. This whole thing is it's weird. Texter said, isn't Lonzo kind of like Popovich?
Am I though? Am I really? Am I? I mean,
I don't think Greg's a jerk. I don't think he's a jerk.
Okay. All right.
I like Pops. I'd play for Pops.
I'm one of the nicest people in this building. Now, this could be a very mean building. It could absolutely be a very mean building.
That's also true. You know, my favorite part of the trade is, you know who Luka Doncic used to be teammates with? JJ Redick, the head coach of the Lakers. They're buddies. This ought to be good. Let's take a break. Come back after this. Lonzo is the Luka Doncic of sports flashes. Listen to this.
I did get traded. I absolutely got traded. And it was a shock to everyone.
Like midnight on a Wednesday.
And look what happened after that, championships. Just saying. As we approach tomorrow's NBA trade deadline, players are moving after the Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers. Another all-star moved last night as Sacramento sent De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs and acquired Chicago guard Zach LaVine in a 3-team deal. The Kings also received Sidi Sissoko, which I had to look up because I didn't know that was a person. 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round. He's from France, man. I don't cover that. Round picks. The Bulls get first-round pick as well as Zach Collins and Trey Jones from the Spurs and Kevin Huerter from Sacramento. After a national championship win, Ohio State offensive coordinator Chip Kelly is leaving the team to join the Las Vegas Raiders in the same role under new head coach Pete Carroll. Kelly spent the last 7 years in college football and helped lead the Buckeyes to a 36-point per game and 14-2 record that included the national championship. Why would they do that, Jacob? And people saying they can't play together? I don't believe that for a second. I believe they absolutely can play together. And the Lakers probably are not done the trade deadline.
No, they got to get a big man now.
Yeah, they do.
But no, they're not getting rid of LeBron. LeBron will retire a Laker.
All right, I wanted to check out the standings. Right now, the Mavericks are in 9th place.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I mean, granted, they haven't had Luka for a while.
And by the way, the Lakers are in 5th place.
The Lakers, here's the thing.
Yeah.
They're not bad.
Right.
And they just got better.
That's what I was saying to people saying that they can't play together. I absolutely believe they can play together. Luka and LeBron. I think LeBron can complement anybody.
LeBron gets to be more of point Bron now, which is that's his game the last couple of years.
You're right, Frank, but here's the thing in the NBA right now. Does defense really matter? Look at the scores.
Good morning.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the radio broadcast right now. 844-326-3663 is the number if you want to be a part of the show. 844-326-3663 is the number to call the show. It is the number to text the show. Shoot us a text. Shoot us a call. 844-326-3663. We will get them on the air. You can shoot us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word, if you want to come at us in that direction. For the few of you that have used the Ray Memorial Hotline, it is still down. I do not know why. I did put in a request on Friday for it to be looked at. I have not gotten a status update. As soon as I do, I'll let you know because
wait, did you put in a ticket? Because they take those very seriously.
They do take those
and
very
you get
seriously.
Like 10,000 replies if you don't reply back and say it's been resolved.
That is also very true. So I'm a little interested that I've not gotten a response yet, but we're working on the Ray Memorial Hotline. But 844-326-3663 is the number to be a part of the show, to call in or to shoot us a text message this AM as we roll into the second hour of the broadcast. With that being said, it is 7:02 in the AM. You have less than 58 minutes until you got to get to the office and pretend like you want to work. You don't. You want to talk sports. It's Big Game TM week. We got NASCAR rolling last night. Baseball hot stove is still a hot stoving out there with a couple more moves being made over the weekend. It's NBA trade deadline tomorrow. We got big moves taking place around the association so far this morning. We got a lot to get to, and that is why in the 7 o'clock segment every morning we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Most impressive."
even before they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is an interesting time to be in our industry because obviously the focus this week is, and we'll be spending quite a bit of time this morning on the Big Game TM. Then obviously we start rolling into other sports. Spring training starting up. NASCAR's just around the corner. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Lonzo, you've been in this game a hot minute. You know how it works. Football's almost over. The good news is the Rob Brown Show covers everything. We talk all the things on the show. And today is going to be no different. So let us dive right in with item number 1. Again, the NBA trade deadline is tomorrow. Saturday, I technically should say Sunday at 12:12 a.m., the Shams bomb dropped that Luka Doncic, the face of the Dallas Mavericks, is the face of the Dallas Mavericks. No mas. He is on his way to Los Angeles, California, in return for Anthony Davis and a future first rounder. There were some other players that were involved in those moves, but that was just basically to offset some numbers and some salaries here and there on the books. Was not the last trade of an all-star that we have to get to, because the Sacramento Kings are finalizing a trade that will send all-star De'Aaron Fox to the San Antonio Spurs. They will acquire Chicago Bulls guard Zach LaVine as part of a 3-team trade involving multiple players and draft picks. Shams dropped that one yesterday. as well. The moves give San Antonio an all-star guard to pair up with young phenom Victor Wembanyama after Fox, who has one more year left on his deal after the season, had not shown a willingness to commit long-term to Sacramento. Because of that, the Kings opened up trade talks. He did make it known, did De'Aaron Fox, that San Antonio was his preferred destination, and San Antonio was willing to put the assets on the table to make it worth it. The Kings received LaVine in the midst of a career season at age 29. Sidney Sissoko, the 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks are on their way to Sacramento. The Bulls regained their 2025 first-round pick from San Antonio and 3 players, Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and both from the Spurs. Sacramento's Kevin Huerter is on his way to Chi-Town as well. The Spurs will also receive Jordan McLaughlin, who is averaging 2 points in 28 games for the Kings this year. Spurs made the deal for Fox happen without giving much of their stash of draft picks or the keys to their young core. They have Stephon Castle. They have Keldon Johnson, obviously Victor Wembanyama. They held on to Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes, both in their first season with San Antonio, both very much established and experienced locker room leaders. I actually love this move for the Spurs. I think the Spurs go from a team sitting 12th out of 15 in the West to a team that could very well skyrocket up the Western Conference standings and potentially sneak in as a wild card team down the stretch. And I suspect these will not be the last moves that we see made. In fact, I am even willing to go so far as to say I do not think the Lakers are done. The Lakers were already in the hunt to go find a true 5, because while I do like the young Jackson Hayes, the guy ain't ready to be the 5 for the Lakers yet. So I think we're going to see a few more teams make a few more moves for a few more big names in the association before the deadline tomorrow afternoon. Let's get to item number 2. Just a couple of weeks after winning the 2024-2025 College Football National Championship, Ryan Day's got to be on the recruiting trail again. But it's not for players. It's for every position on his coaching staff. Yesterday, Chip Kelly announced that he was leaving Ohio State. He is on his way to Las Vegas to become the new offensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders under new head coach Pete Carroll. The 61-year-old spent the past 7 years in college football, including last season, his only season as the offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for Ohio State. They averaged almost 36 points, went 14-2, including a 34-23 defeat of Notre Dame in the national championship game. Previously, Kelly was the head coach at UCLA for 6 seasons, where he was 35-34 with the Bruins. Last coached in the NFL back in 2016. He was the San Francisco 49ers head coach for 1 season. The Niners went 2-14 under Chip Kelly, who had a bit of a career renaissance when he got to Ohio State, proving that, some guys just ain't made to be HCs. Some guys are made to be OCs. And Chip Kelly, one of those cats on his way to Las Vegas, which means now Ryan Day has lost both his offensive and defensive coordinators, as his defensive coordinator now on his way to Penn State to replace Tom Allen.
The offensive line coach left, and some other coaches are leaving too.
Technically now your quarterback's coach is left.
Yeah, so I just you usually see this sort of thing happening when a team did poorly and the coach needs to cover his butt by getting rid of all of his assistant coaches.
Yep, happened to Florida State this year. They're in the same boat. They got to refill the OC, the DC.
It's kind of weird. It almost like maybe Ryan Day's a bad guy or something. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Or if you look, I think all these guys got paid a lot more money to go to all these places.
There it is. Your former defensive coordinator now at Penn State got paid over $3.2 million. It's the highest deal that we are aware of for a coordinator in college football. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that's a Ryan Day's a bad guy. I think that's, you're paying me how much now? We are, right? Like I'll tell you, I've said this before. I can't stand the Atlanta Falcons, but if old Arthur Blank calls me tomorrow and puts 7 figures on a paycheck for Rob Brown to come be the voice of the Falcons, rise up, baby. All right. My loyalty cannot be bought, but it can be rented without a doubt. So we'll see what this means. I think when it comes down to it, This is just the result of when you win, the guys that got you there are in the limelight. And the reality is, as we have seen for a lot of coordinators in years gone by, if you do not strike while the iron is hot, and Ohio State comes out next year and goes 8-4 and misses the playoffs and all that, $3.2 million paychecks aren't coming down the pipe for the coordinator of an 8-4 team. They will for a natty. So I don't think this is so much things are falling apart in Columbus or Ryan Day's hard to work for or whatever. I think it's simply a matter of the Raiders and the Nittany Lions put a whole hell of a lot of zeros on a paycheck, and it's hard to say no to that.
I will say, if you're Jim Knowles, you better win against Ohio State.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's what they brought you there to do.
$3.2 million to move over to We Are Penn State. I'm sure Chip Kelly's contract with the Raiders is probably going to turn out to be about the same amount. So we'll see how that plays out. Chip Kelly leaving, and now Ryan Day's got to replace both his OC, his DC, and about half of the coaching positions on his roster before he runs it back in a natty defense next year.
You know why Chip left, right? Because Ryan Day took over to play calling, and he was mad. That's why he left.
I want you to know, I still don't believe it. I think he got involved. I don't think he took over. I think Chip Kelly left.
They were boys. I mean, one coached the other, and then they were got. I mean, suddenly money is I'm just saying.
Chip Kelly took a massive pay cut to leave as the HC of a school to go be the OC of another school. I just think Chip Kelly got tired of being a head coach.
He said that, but it was also his friend that he went to coach with, and then he just left his friend. I can't wait for the day for you to have to say, Lonzo, you were right.
I mean, sure, but I would also point out that you don't have anything other than feelings on that. I think Chip Kelly just got paid a lot of money by Pete Carroll, who's also his boy, by the way.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I could be completely wrong, and we may never know, but I do believe I'm right on this.
All right, let's get to item number 3. As football season comes to its close on Sunday, and as this show is not a football talk show, it is a sports talk show that talks all of the sports. While we will have our attention all week long on the Big ATM, we also start to turn our attention to other sports. I've got 2 things wrapped up. Nice, neat little package inside of item number 3. We start out at Pebble Beach, California, where the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, one of the early events on the PGA Tour calendar, showed up. Rory McIlroy showed up in this one. How about a run to a 6 under 66 on Sunday and a 2-shot victory at what Rory called one of, quote, the cathedrals of golf. McIlroy was aces yesterday. 2 key birdies when he made the turn against a pack of contenders. In fact, at one point on Sunday, 6 different players either had the lead of or a share of the lead in this tournament. But McIlroy down the stretch was playing immaculate golf. And when they got to the 14th was a 571-yard par 5. That's 30 yards shy of 6 football fields was this par 5, including a couple of treacherous spots. What did Rory McIlroy do? NPD, big drive, get on into Eagle, take the lead. He was playing with Sepp Straka in this hole. Sepp, when asked about Rory's blast that set him up again on a 571-yard par 5, Rory McIlroy hit a drive so deep. His second shot was a 7-iron. If you're not a golf guy, I don't know how to explain to you what that means. A 571-yard. If the dude blasted this thing 325, he's still looking for most PGA players. You're still looking at like a 4-iron to get it up there. He went 7-iron. Striker said afterwards, second shot, we both hit a 7 there. His was a 7-iron. Mine was a 7-wood. Like, it was an unbelievable drive that Rory at that point showed, yeah, I'm here. I'm good. On a day when 6 players had at least a share of the lead, McIlroy took the top spot with a 6-iron out of the bunker to 18 feet for birdie on 10. He hit a 7-iron to 8 feet for birdie on 12 to stretch his lead to 2. And then on the 14th, when he went absolutely bananas to get his hand on the Crystal Trophy, Rory just looked good. Amongst players still actively playing, only 2 players have won more tournaments than Rory, and that is Tiger Woods with 82 wins and lefty Phil Mickelson with 45. Mickelson also was 35 when he got his 27th tour title, as Tiger was. So that is kind of interesting. Also, active win streak. This is consecutive seasons with at least 1 win. Dustin Johnson is tied with Tiger Woods for the longest stretch of years with at least 1 win. He has a 14-year streak. That streak is not active. Phil Mickelson has a 10-year streak with at least 1 win. That is no longer active. Rory McIlroy is now 3rd with an 8-year streak with at least 1 win, and that streak is active. As of right now, it is the longest active streak on tour. John Rahm, Justin Thomas, Vijay Singh, Ernie Els, and Paul Azinger all have 7-year streaks with at least 1 win. None of those active right now. And then the second half of item number 2 is, of course, the clash last night. Bubba Gray out in Raleigh, North Carolina, was the host for NASCAR's exhibition to start the season. And Chase Elliott, I don't know if you've heard this before, he's NASCAR's most popular driver. I'm so tired of that. First off, I honestly don't believe it. Like, I like Chase Elliott, but I honestly don't believe he's NASCAR's most popular driver. Do you? Because
you don't sound like you like him.
I like him a lot, but
you just did that thing where you don't really like someone, but you're, yeah, okay.
No, I like him a lot. It's kind of one of those things where it's less about him.
Is he being billed as NASCAR?
Yes, and not only are they billed. Do you remember the year when Tebow led the Gators to the national championship and Riley Cooper was on that team? Do you remember how every time Riley Cooper did anything, Gary Daniels would go, and he's Tim Tebow's roommate. Like, they said it every time Riley Cooper was on TV. He's Tim Tebow's roommate. It's that. Every time Chase Elliott is on camera, somebody goes, and there's NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott. It's like, I don't need you to tell me every time I see him. It's every time. He'll be in 17th place, moves up to 16th. They put a camera on the pass, and they're like, and here comes NASCAR's most popular driver. I get it. Stop.
You mean the Chris Collinsworth method?
Yes. Every time he's on camera. All right, let's go down for the national anthem. Oh, there's NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott. Like, they will interrupt stuff to make sure they point out, of course he is, because you show him every 8 seconds and you call him NASCAR's most popular driver every time.
But why do you start to not like him because of that when he's not doing it?
No, I don't dislike him. He's not doing anything wrong. And the kid of Awesome Bill from Dawsonville is never getting hate from Rob Brown. But I don't need you to remind me every 7 seconds, NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott. However, NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott, did win the clash last night at Bowman Gray Coliseum in Winston-Salem. The last time they raced there, 1971, a quarter-mile track. It was absolute chaos. He won it for the first time in his career, joined his father, Bill, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, as winners of the unofficial season opener. Bill Elliott won the clash in 87. He turned around and won the Daytona 500 1 week later. Obviously, it'll be 2 weeks until this year's 500, but Chase Elliott will have an opportunity to repeat that history of his daddy. He said, excited to get to Daytona. It's a great way to start the season. I know it's not a points race, but it's nice to win for sure. Just really proud of our team for just continuing to keep their heads down. He was able to hold off a couple of contenders late, including Denny Hamlin, who finished 3rd, and a challenge from Ryan Blaney, who finished 2nd in this race. You did have I don't know, man. Like, it was fun. I stayed up till like 11:45 last night watching this race. That's why Alonzo had to correct so many typos in my sports flash, because I went, NASCAR's back, baby. Fire him up. Let's go. Boogity, boogity, boogity. All right. Congrats to Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver. I don't know if you've heard that before. Also, Riley Cooper was Tim Tebow's roommate. Don't know if you heard that either. Don't know if you heard that music playing. That means we got to go to break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Do you have Barkley audio on the trade?
I don't. Do we have some?
There's
Because I
a
want it.
there's a video. I will send it to you. Obviously, I haven't listened to it, but it just popped up on my feed. It looks like about a minute talking about both teams. I could actually listen to it now if I wanted to, or you could listen to it. It don't matter.
This thing is not going to be smooth in LA with him and LeBron because both of them want the ball 100% of the time. I think that's going to be. I don't know if because Luka does not move without the ball. LeBron does not move without the ball. There's going to be some serious growing pains when those two try to play together. Now they're both great players. Don't get me wrong, but LeBron wants the ball and Luka definitely wants the ball. So it's going to be very interesting how that work out. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, it's going to be a seamless transition to Dallas, plain and simple. Because, he complains all the time about the five. I don't even understand why he complains about the five. Unless you're playing against Joker or Embiid, do we have any more big guys in the league?
So he doesn't think it's going to work. Chuck is entertaining, but he's also wrong a lot. So who wins the trade? The team that goes the furthest in the playoff?
The Lakers win the trade. Like, you got rid of a 31-year-old who I don't think has ever played more than 65 games in a season, and you picked up a 25-year-old stud that, if you can get him right, becomes potentially the face of your franchise for what? He's 25, 10 more years.
So give them a call at QC Kinetics today. Get a free consultation. They're at 824-448-3772. That's 824-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 824-448-3772 QC Kinetics.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable Centipedes going into your washing machine and giving your clothes.
And it was so cool that he actually sent me a telegram each week on the month.
Send me a telegram. Sent a telegram.
Find the Month Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Sponsored by Rapid Radio. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off. Free UPS shipping and add code radio for an extra 5% off.
You ever sent a telegram?
No. That was me.
I don't know when Telegram stopped.
Wait, the meanest thing you've ever said to me.
It wasn't mean. I don't know when Telegram stopped. What is a telegram? Isn't it just like a letter? Kinda, but you.
No, it's It's transmitted over radio,
A
I
written
think.
message sent using an electronic device such as
Yeah.
wires or radio and delivered to a person's home or office. The word telegram comes from the Greek words tele meaning distant and grandma meaning. It is big game TM week here on the show. Well, I mean, I guess across all of America, but here on the show. Talking Super Bowl licks down in the Crescent City, the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana, the Chiefs, the Eagles, for all of the proverbial marbles. Zoe. To me, as we're going to spend quite a bit of time breaking this game down from every angle between here and Friday when we cut you loose for big game weekend. To me, this game really isn't all that complicated to break down. Chiefs stop Saquon Barkley, they win, right? And by stop, this is the interesting thing. If by stop, I mean, if he scores a tutty, he's going to score a tutty. He's Saquon Barkley. I mean, if you can keep Saquon from carrying the Philadelphia Eagles, you win this game. If you can make this a game that comes down to Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts, who can be the better quarterback, you win this game. If this is a game where Saquon Barkley is able to get a full head of steam and start building momentum and carrying this team literally on his back, that's where I think the Eagles pull the upset. Now, the interesting thing is, I could say that's true about every team that they have played so far in these playoffs. I could say that was true about every team they played in the regular season, and very few teams were able to put a dent into the production of Saquon Barkley. But, and this is what I think a lot of people are missing out on, the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody talks about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy, and that's good because they're great players for sure. But the interesting thing here is the Chiefs have been carried by their defense. I saw a social media take on Saturday that I kind of laughed at. There was a guy who said, I want to address the hate that has been directed at the Kansas City Chiefs this year. He said, I know what the reason is for it. And we can dress it up as they get calls. We can dress it up as Mahomes is a whiner. We can dress it up 50 different ways. But there's a reason for it. And I actually really agreed with this take. He said, why has the mentality shifted about the Chiefs? Because the Chiefs have been dominant for like a while now. Like the last 5 years, they've been the dominant team in the NFL. And for the first few years of that run, the Chiefs were kind of celebrated by the NFL at large. And he said the reason why was because when the Chiefs won, they dominated and they were wildly entertaining because they just whipped everybody. They were putting up 40 burgers routinely. They were just marching up and down the field. And even if it was your team that they were working, they were explosive. And this year they're not. They don't cover spreads this year. They're winning games. They're winning games, but they're winning games by blocked field goals and doinks and last play turnovers, et cetera, et cetera. And this cat said, I wish I could remember who it was to give him credit, but I saw it late at night and I was going to sleep, so I didn't save it. But this cat said the reason the Chiefs had the mentality, the attitude of the nation turn against them is because if you are going to go win 14, 15 games, if you're going to win back-to-back Super Bowls and potentially back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls, people want to be entertained. And the reality is we're entertained by offense. We're entertained by touchdowns. We're entertained by big explosive plays. And the Chiefs don't do that this year. And it's not to say there haven't been any, but the Chiefs aren't beating you by being a wildly explosive offense. The Chiefs are beating you by preventing anybody else from doing that. They're beating you with Chris Jones. They're beating you with guys being removed from the run game, forcing other quarterbacks to get into a battle with Patrick Mahomes. They're beating you by just letting you screw up and take advantage of it. That's it. That's all. They're not explosive like they used to be. And when America has, for the last handful of years, I don't know, 10, 12, whatever, gotten to be a country that just loves a tutty and hates solid defenses, this is a Chiefs team, and this is part of the reason I like the Chiefs in the Super Bowl over the Eagles. This is a team that bogs games down with a great defense, and it doesn't look like big explosive games on TV. That's why the Chiefs defense v. Saquon is this football game.
One of the favorite things that I heard over the weekend, and I don't necessarily believe it, but this person said that the Chiefs treated the regular season like the preseason.
I think it's fair.
Trying stuff because they held some stuff back for the playoffs that other teams had not seen. And of course they do that.
The Chiefs felt to me, I think I said it last week. I know I said it on Saturday. I know I said it on Sunday. I hosted Sunday morning for 3 hours too. The Chiefs felt to me.
Man, take a break.
Yeah, this will be today's day 10 because I did that last weekend too. So I'm going on this is day 20 that I've done a show every day. Grind, baby. Daddy's trying to get rich. The Chiefs feel like a team that came into this year, and I think maybe some people feel the same way and they chalk it up as arrogance, even though the Chiefs were right. I feel like the Chiefs came into this year, great one, acting as if, and correctly, by the way, acting as if the playoffs were a guarantee this year. We're going to the playoffs. Are we the 1 seed? Are we a wild card? Are we a divisional winner, but not the 1 seed? I don't know. We'll find out. But we're going to the playoffs. And therefore, there was never a period of doubt for the Chiefs. And when I say doubt, I don't just mean in terms of will they make the playoffs. I mean, like, will they be a powerhouse? There was never a point where we doubted the Chiefs. There was no drama to this season for the Chiefs, especially when we got 6-7 weeks into the season. And, you know, I remember, was it the first Denver game that you guys won by a doink, right? When I came on that next day and I went, guys, even the doinks go their way. You understand? Like, you can't script losing via doink. You can't script that. When the doinks go your way, you're a great team. That you take advantage of those opportunities. And so it felt like no drama around the Chiefs. There was never a spot where even when they were in 1-score games, as Lonzo has pointed out, if the Chiefs have you in a 1-score game in the fourth quarter, they win. That's just what they do. What is it Mahomes is in the last 2 years? Mahomes is like some ridiculous number and in games where the Chiefs are down with the ball in the fourth quarter. They just don't lose. So there's been no drama. And because of that, Kansas City has been largely kind of reserved.
You said there's been no drama. There's been no drama for the team. There's been drama about the team.
Sure. I mean, there's drama with the referee conspiracy. There was drama with Harrison Butker. There was drama with Mahomes. Like, there's drama from the standpoint of external. But if the Chiefs are in a 1-score game late in the fourth quarter, like, hadn't it gotten to the point where we all gave up tuning in to see if the Chiefs lose? No, they're not losing. Mahomes in the last 2 years is like literally undefeated when it comes to fourth quarter drives to win the game. Somebody deep dove these stats the other day. I think was it Dan Patrick, I think. Tom Brady, Lonzo, on game-winning drives. Tom Brady was 6-5 in game-winning drives. And I think it was against playoff teams. I don't remember the exact stat. But effectively, in the whatever the category Dan Patrick was using there to quantify the type of drives that Mahomes been going off, Breeze was winning at a 50% clip, Brady at a 46% clip, Manning at like a 48% clip. In the same thing that Mahomes in the last 3 years has been undefeated with. They don't lose. And it kind of sucks the drama out. And so you end up in this spot where, and I do think, just so we are clear, I absolutely do think Mahomes gets calls. I also think Mahomes gets calls that other players don't get, but other players aren't Patrick Mahomes. And I think Mahomes gamesmanships into those calls. I don't blame him for that. I don't fault him for that. That's how the game gets played. Troy Aikman can get as mad as he wants. If you want to get mad at the NFL for allowing these calls to take place in a way that Mahomes can take advantage of them. But the reality of the situation is, whether it's exclusively because of that or not, and it's not, the reality is you are watching one of the most dominant franchises of all time. Even if you believe they're getting calls, they've earned those superstar calls by way of Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes. But this year, there's no big play explosive offense, and the reason why is they haven't needed it, which leads me to another theory. I'm tempted to bet the over in this game, Lonzo, because I think the Chiefs offense is going to go deep in the bag. I with the exception of the Buffalo game, which even that, you're watching it and you're like, fourth quarter, 1-score game. Something's going to happen for the Chiefs, and it did. They played great defense. Steve Spagnuolo, MVP of that game, in my opinion. I wonder how much the Chiefs break out this weekend.
Have we heard any more about Sky Moore? I haven't seen anything else.
I haven't seen anything, but at the same time, they haven't really been. I mean, it's been primarily closed-door practices. The Chiefs, I think, just got to New Orleans yesterday. So if we're going to see reports on Sky Moore, it's going to be this week. But you had Sky, Xavier Worthy. I think Travis Kelce, honestly, I went back and watched a little bit more of the AFC title game. Kelce wasn't running complicated routes. He was just running like generic tight end seams, generic curls. Like there was nothing special about Travis Kelce. I almost think Kelce was getting held back last week. I think Chiefs go in the bag. I think you're going to see the most explosive Chiefs offense we've seen all year in this game because I think they've been able to hold back. All right, we'll talk more about it as we move on. Rob Lonzo and you talking Super Bowl licks on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Did I ship again?
No, he asked me to test the dump button.
Oh, okay.
He also thought it was funny when I told him that you was like, what did I do? But then he asked me to check it on the air. I can't do that while we're on the air.
I was going to say,
how do you know
I guess if he's listening. I don't even know who he is. I'm assuming Chris?
Yeah. I mean, how can I check it if we're on the air? I can't.
Right,
well, he's here. Yeah.
I'm going to mess with him. You done my show?
If you're going to, you've only got, well, you got 2 minutes if you want to go do it.
In the restroom anyway. Be right back, kids.
South Carolina women's basketball. They're number 2 in the nation, 9-0 in the SEC after an 83-66 win Sunday over Auburn. This is your home for Paladins basketball. Follow all the action live right here on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app.
I knew that, Frank. Sometimes, correcting on the air, I just try to stay away from that. We'll be right back.
Also, make sure you watch the video. Oh, I sent it to the managers. You may not have gotten it yet. It's the same video that we always have to watch like twice a year.
Okay.
I have a question. Am I a Karen? Let me set you up with the scenario. Yesterday, myself, the wife, and the mother-in-law were having lunch together at our house. The wife and the mother-in-law, they are big fans of one particular establishment. I shan't name them. They said, let's order dinner from this establishment. Rob, go pick it up, bring it back. We'll all have dinner together here at the house so we can talk. Said, great, no problem. Let's do it. I went to the restaurant. I picked up the order. Kane just said, yes, you are. Yeah, tell my story first, Kane. God. And yes, I know the Saints suck. You don't need to say
I didn't even jump in and do that.
Yeah, come on, man. So I went to pick up the order from this establishment. Now, we ordered 3 dinners, full dinners, and 2 extra dinners so that the lady friend and I could have lunch today. That's a routine we've gotten into. We'll order ourselves dinner, and then if we really like where we're eating from, we'll grab something else to warm up the next day for lunch. So five dinners altogether. I went, I picked it up, I opened it up, I looked in. They said, please check, make sure everything is there. I acknowledge that I looked through the bag. I was in a hurry to get it back to the house before it got cold. I looked in there, looked good. All right. Signed the little paperwork, left, went back to the crib. Got there, opened it up. One of the things that the lady had ordered was a combo meal, right? Like half of 2 other dinners wedged together into one dinner. Well, one of those 2 things wasn't in her little to-go box thing. Okay, wasn't in there. Thing was, it wasn't a cheap combo meal. So I got back in the car, drove back to the restaurant, brought in the receipt. I was like, hey guys, I know I signed, said everything's in here. I did not know that she got a combo. I thought she just got this thing. I don't want to say where it was because it'll give you a hint to what the restaurant was, and I don't want to do that. But I said half of her meal wasn't there. And the young lady working the register was like, you signed and said it was. And I was like, I understand that, but I was in a hurry. I didn't know what she ordered because she put in the order, just told me to pick it up. It wasn't in there. Could I get it? Right? Like, could I get this? And she's like, I'll have to speak to a manager. I was like, yeah, that's fine. Manager comes out. He's like, you did sign it. I'm like, yeah, nope, I got that. But I was in a hurry. That's on me. I got a picture of the meal, like unopened, sealed still. You can see the steel. It wasn't in there. So eventually, after a couple of minutes worth of discussion, the guy gives me the other half of the combo. He's like, whatever, dude. Just like, we're busy. Get out of here. Fine. Good enough for me. I'm out. Went back home, gave her the other half of the combo, pulled out my dinner from the bag. My main course was there. I had 2 sides. Neither of my sides are in the bag. And I'm like, I'm not going back, right? I'll just eat my one thing. I'm not going back. I'm not doing this again. Even though I paid for the sides, whatever, I don't care. So I kind of put it to the back of the brain. During the break, I was checking my personal email inbox. And in my personal email inbox, I got an email from the corporate of this chain restaurant that we ordered from. And it said, how did we do? Give it to us straight. How was your experience with our fine dining establishment? Now, Zoe, I'm not a fill out the survey guy. Even when I go to a place that's like, hey, if you fill out this survey, we'll give you like a $10 gift card. I just don't do it. All right. I got enough paperwork I got to do in my life. I'm not trying to add to it for $10 worth of, a restaurant that I'm not even really that big of a fan of anyway. I filled the survey out and I was like, look, I'm not happy, man. Like, first, you didn't give me half of a combo meal. I had to drive up there. I had to beg to get it to make my wife happy. Then when I got back to the house, I was missing not one, but both sides of my meal that it was very established came with 2 sides. And I wasn't coming back up there. I'm not super thrilled about it. And the thing is, as soon as I hit send, I recognized that like probably some worker at this restaurant, and they were getting slammed. All right. It was Sunday, late lunchtime. They were getting slammed. Probably some poor worker at this establishment's going to get chewed out today because they forgot 3 things in an order. And they got an unhappy client who has ordered from this place many, many times. Was filling out that survey and going, yeah, I'm kind of bummed out. And even dropping my wife and I order takeout from you guys like once a week. And I got to tell you, because this isn't the first issue that we've had, this is probably the last time we're doing that. Is that a Karen move? Is that over the top Karening?
No. I mean, you didn't cause a scene that caused the police to be called, or someone put out a video that went viral. I mean, you didn't get your food.
Yeah, I was like, the first time up there, I was very kind, because I'm a kill 'em with kindness guy. All right, always have been. First time, I'm like, I understand, guys. Like, you're absolutely right. I filled out this receipt, but I didn't know what my wife ordered at the time. And when I looked in there, like, I saw one half of her combo, and I didn't, like, I just assumed that they were both in there. I can't imagine you would have given us half of a combo that is half of a serving of this thing. I can't imagine that would have been the case. Like, I just like the other half of the thing that I paid for and paid good money for it. Like, what are we doing here? And I was very nice to the guy, but then I got home and found out that it wasn't just that. It was an entirely different thing. I feel guilty because, like I said, I know there's going to be some minimum wage cat there that's going to get ramrodded today because I just knocked their survey rating down by complaining about this and saying, hey, look, my wife and I have ordered from you guys once a week, pretty much every week since I moved in. And now I'm absolutely not, like, I'm not coming back, or at least not for a while before I give you guys a second chance. There's another establishment like a mile further down the road that serves the exact same food. What are we doing here? And I feel bad that somebody that probably had very little or nothing to do about it is going to get absolutely railroaded today. But at the same time, dog, that was like a solid $17 worth of food I paid for, but we didn't get.
I don't believe they really say anything to their employees. I think that's just like, I think that's a courtesy thing that people send out, and they want praise rather than negative things. I bet they just ignore the negative stuff.
See, I worked in,
especially if it's, let's say it's a rarity. Let's say it's just, or maybe they just don't like you, which could, I mean, it could be a thing. It's possible.
I mean, nobody dislikes me. Nobody dislikes me. Can't imagine. I'm the nicest person anybody comes across on a regular basis. I don't know, man. Like, I felt like as soon as I pushed send, I'm like, Rob, you're being a Karen right now. But on the flip side, I'm like, they didn't screw me. I mean, try to screw me out of like $20 worth of food. And that's in this economy. Come on now. Right? Like, I don't know if that's a full Karen or not. Texter said, you're good, Rob. You didn't provide that feedback unsolicited. You were asked how the restaurant did. I mean, that's also fair. You did ask me. You sent me an email to my inbox saying, will you give us a grade? And I did. Like I said, I don't normally do that. Ordinarily, I don't do that. Ordinarily, I'm just like, no, I'm not going to do, like, whatever. It was fine, right? It's fine. I will do one of two things. If the service is exceptional, and this I do frequently, if the service is exceptional, like if I really like my waiter, my bartender, whatever, I will 100% pass on that note to a manager. Hey, Amy was wonderful as a bartender. I appreciate her. Bobby was a phenomenal waiter. He took great care of us. Just wanted you to know. We'll do that. If I don't like my experience at a restaurant, ordinarily it's like, all right, I'm good. I'm out. I don't say anything. And then I just either don't go back to that place, or like I give them a couple of months to get the kinks worked out. The first time, I think, in a very long time that I've actively complained about something, and I felt guilty as hell about it. I'm like, some poor guy that had nothing to do with this is probably gonna get chewed out today. I worked in service industry for a while. We absolutely did get when I worked at a chain restaurant. We absolutely did get the results of surveys back and critiqued very harshly because of them when it was appropriate. Like, I know I just got some dude in trouble, but at the same time, it's like, you kind of messed up a lot, right? You kind of messed up a lot. Forget the sides. Like, okay, I didn't get some French fries and a house salad that I asked for, whatever. But like, I ordered a 2-meal combo and you forgot half of that. That ain't it. That's not going to do it. All right. That's a dumb thing. And I need you to know, since the moment I hit send, I'm like, I don't know if I'm in the right or wrong here. I got to ask.
Meanwhile, those people were in the back during break eating your food.
Yeah, probably. They're like, don't put this in the bag. Maybe he won't notice. Bang, free fries and a salad for us to split. All right. We got a lot more we got to get to on the show. I know that was dumb and probably a terrible place in the show to put that, but it was eating at me. It was genuinely eating at my conscience.
All right, here's the thing that I'm most shocked about is that you actually filled out a survey. I've never filled out a survey, especially after I've been tempted after bad service. And it's like, yeah, you don't want me to do that. So I just threw it away. I've never done that before.
Yeah, I
think
don't
you're
think
the
I've
only
either.
person that I've ever met that's done that.
For the record, I normally don't. Like, and like I said, if I have a wonderful experience, I may call over a manager and be like, hey, I just want you to know our waiter did an awesome job. Our bartender did an awesome job. If I have just a regular, normal experience, I don't say anything. I have people come to the table and go, hey, by the way, if you go to the link on the back of your receipt and fill out the survey, you get a $20 gift card. And I'm usually like, oh, yeah, I'll do that. And then I'm absolutely not doing that. If it's just fine. It's the first time I've ever done it. But again, I made an order online.
Especially not doing it if you're a person, oh, do you need change? I do now.
Okay, in fairness,
no, that's not a good move. It's not.
Well, if it's $18 and you hand me a 20, right? That, you know what that is? That's more along the lines of like,
no, don't assume anything.
This is it.
Don't assume anything. Don't do you need change? Yes, I do. I didn't, but I do now.
I mean, in fairness, are you a good tipper?
Yeah, that costs them a couple dollars.
Okay, because the plague of bad tippers in America is real high.
Even if you say that, if you say, do you need change? If I didn't, I will leave. I will take at least $1 off of what I was going to leave.
The plague of bad tippers is real. All right. When we come back in the next hour of the show, a little bit more breakdown of the super big game TM. We got that coming up for you in the next hour of the show. We're going to get back into the NBA trade moves that are taking place. Charles Barkley has something to say about it. I got to play you the audio of the Dallas play-by-play guy the next day after the trade. He sounds broken. We got your audio blitz in the next segment. We got a lot of sound for the weekend that we are going to run through. Your text and calls are welcome at 844-326-3663. Now, you are welcome because you get to experience Alonzo Sports Flash.
Yeah.
Boy.
As we approach the NBA trade deadline, players are moving after the Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers. Another all-star move last night. Sacramento sent De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs and acquired Chicago guard Zach LaVine in a 3-team deal. The Kings also received Sidi Sissoko, 3 first rounds. It was like Susudio, but first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. The Bulls get a first-round pick as well as Zach Collins and Trey Jones from Spurs and Kevin Huerter from Sacramento. One of the few remaining big-name free agent pitchers in Major League Baseball will be staying with his current team. Right-hander Jack Flaherty has signed a 2-year, $35 million deal with the Detroit Tigers. And make sure you tune in Wednesday night, 6:30, as the Furman Paladins take on the Western Carolina Catamounts. It's Furman versus Western Carolina. Right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. It's us. It's right here. It's the Fan, upstate. Primal? Wow, Mike, that hurts, dude. I mean, here's the thing. Depends on what you consider a good tipper. And it also, maybe you're someone who goes, oh, I know who that is. What just happened to me at restaurants, and you think, oh, he's going to tip really big. You have this preconceived notion that people in radio make money, and you're just wrong. So, I mean, there's that thing. And again, if by big tipper, you look at percentage, what is the percentage that you should tip?
20% minimum.
Right. And if you go above that, then are you a big tipper, or do you got to go twice that to be a big tipper? I don't know.
I'm a 20% guy. If you stink, you're catching 15%.
All right. So let's say I went somewhere and my meal cost $22 and I gave them $30. Am I a big tipper?
$8 on a $20 meal? $22? I mean, $22. You're looking at what's that? three and some change for a 15% tip.
I as far as percentages goes, how many people actually understand how to calculate percentages without their phone or a calculator?
It's really easy. Take the total.
Is it? Because you're struggling right now. So
take the total.
Tell me how easy it is.
Take the total, move the decimal point over one. That's 10%. Then just take half of that and add to it. There's your 15. Right. Or take half of that and double it. There's 20.
Okay,
it ain't that hard.
So how much was that $8 tip?
If you said your meal was what, $22?
Yes.
So $2.20 is 10%. Double that to $4.40 is 20%. So that's a big tip.
Yes, it is. But that's not a big tip. You only tipped $8, even though so it's all about perception about how much you believe.
It's like a 40% tip.
A tip is right. If my meal costs $20 and I leave an extra $20, that's not happening because I can't afford that. I would love to, especially with good service. But if I was going to leave an extra $20 and you said, do you need change back? You're getting $2.
I'll tell you where that comes from as a former bartender. That comes from the fact that everyone who's done it has gotten, an $18.50 meal. Somebody hands them a 20 and they don't ask, do you need change back? And they put the $1.50 down on the table. And then that's just their tip. And it's like, all right.
Yeah. So, and also good service it's an opinion, and if you're having a bad day and you go in, someone may have excellent service, but because you're having a bad day, you don't think their service is good.
I will also tell you in response to that, Kane, if I go in and you hand me a machine and this is not the waiter's fault, it's a corporate thing, but if you hand me a machine that says, would you like to leave a tip? And it says like 20% is the lowest available tip, that takes me off, dude. Like, yeah, I'm going to give you the 20%, but like, don't make that go back to putting 15% as the regular option so that I can feel like a good person when I click 20%. All right.
Also, if you pay with cash, you leave the tip on the table. They see the tip, you leave. They don't know how much the tip is. Then you don't have to worry about them judging you by looking at your sheet and going, oh, he only gave me this much. You judge me after I leave. But I am a big tipper in comparison to my salary. That was hurtful, Mike. I know you did it on purpose. If I truly were the Popovich of this station, I'd be letting you have it right now.
Lonzo is a superstar.
Off into hour number 3 of the 4 most electrifying hours in sports talk entertainment you will find anywhere this early in the morning. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. The great one, Lonzo, is here as well. If you want to be a part of the show, 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE is that number. 8 o'clock on the dot, time for the Audio Blitz, the best sound that we have picked up over the past handful of days. Let's dive right in. I held on to this one from last week. I wanted to play it, didn't get a chance to. Jim Harbaugh is the head coach of the Los Angeles Superchargers. Jim Harbaugh is known for being a bit, I believe the old say, of a weird bird. Jim Harbaugh, there was some audio that resurfaced of an interview that he did before he left the University of Michigan to head out to LA to take over as the Chargers head coach. Now, you go, Rob, why in the world would you play old audio from Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh instead of Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh? It's because he's weird.
Yeah, I love SpongeBob. So does Jack. Just the way it attacks with enthusiasm unknown to mankind at all times. So, I mean,
He's just always happy,
always positive. He's energetic. The other guy, who's the other guy? Squidward.
No, not a fan.
Yeah.
I think I read it and you said you like SpongeBob's work ethic, that he goes to work every day and goes and gets it.
Yeah. And, some of the times where he's flipping the burgers like he's got 4 or 5 or 6 arms. So
yeah.
He loves it. He loves work.
Yeah. You got to
Takes
love
pride
that.
in his job.
Yeah.
What's there not to love about SpongeBob?
That is.
Are you going to be critical about his SpongeBob take?
No, I love his SpongeBob take.
That's a really good take.
I'm not even kidding. I genuinely love his SpongeBob take.
I just want to point,
he's not wrong.
I just want to point something else out too, though. Squidward's always at work too.
Squidward's always at work.
He's not happy, but he's always at work.
He shows up. He does his job. He does it well. All right. There's no, unless you're me and Lonzo, obligation to show up and put on a smiley face when you're having a bad day. Show up to your job. The point is, I like the take because he ain't wrong. SpongeBob, good day, bad day. SpongeBob never has a bad day. Good day, bad day. The man shows up and the sponge shows up and grows extra arms to be the best burger flipper in the game. Never once asked Mr. Krabs for a raise or a promotion. Do that. All right. Ask for raises, ask for promotions.
You're not going to get it from Krabs, though.
You're not going to get it from Mr. Krabs. But and in fairness, there was only really one other place that SpongeBob could have gone and worked with his talents.
Yeah, the Chum Bucket's always hiring, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, certainly would hire if he could get somebody up out of the Krusty Krab. But the point here is Harbaugh's got a good take here. SpongeBob, absolutely.
I do believe there was an episode where SpongeBob did work at.
I believe you are correct. And once he figured out that Plankton was just in it for the Krabby Patty recipe, he got up out of there and he realized, oh, I'm not here because of my value and my worth. I'm here because you needed something from me. I'm gonna go back to at least Mr. Krabs understands. Doesn't pay me, but at least he understands, and I respect that. I respect that. All right, let's get some more clips in here, shall we? Matt Rule is the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers.
One of us.
OOU. Matt Rule said that he does not think that the Huskers are going to have a traditional spring game this year. The Nebraska fans were like, why not, Matt? And Matt answered. And now my thing's broke. Okay, hang on. I got this.
Say that one ain't on me.
No, it's not.
The first one was on me. This one ain't on me.
Let's see. Matt, okay. Encountered a problem while playing the file. Awesome. So basically, because apparently it's a file error and not because Rob's an idiot.
We'll see if something else plays.
I'm actually going to see. Okay, I see why. It's a busted file. Here's Matt Rule, maybe. Nope. No Matt Rule. Matt broke it.
I didn't really want to hear Matt
Gosh
Rule.
darn it, Matt Rule.
Tell us what Matt Rule said.
Matt Rule said that there's not going to be a traditional spring game because it's televised. And Matt Rule said that when these games get televised, young players who maybe weren't on the map, who then stand out and have a terrific spring game, suddenly get on the map. And Matt Rule is concerned that when he utilizes a spring game to showcase players, that those players start getting phone calls from other schools and, his words, not mine, tampering comes into play. So Matt Rule is not going to have a spring game so that players don't get highlighted on television wearing the Nebraska block N for the first time and get targeted by other schools who then get on the horn and say, hey, if you leave Lincoln, Nebraska and come play for us, we'll hook you up with the NIL deal. I will once again go off in saying that you have nobody to blame but the NCAA and the schools for not getting together when this whole thing started and saying, all right, here's our contact period, here's our contact policy. But you didn't do that. That being said, Matt, this isn't a Nebraska problem. This is a college football thing that is happening now. Do I feel bad for Matt Rule? I mean, I guess a little bit if this is a problem. But there's another element to this, which is, as I have pointed out 100 times, coaches don't like the NIL system, which, again, makes sense. It makes your job harder. I get it. It makes your job harder. So, of course, you're against it. But it's also a very good reason why when coaches come out, and I've said this about Dabo Swinney and Shane Beamer, too. A couple of guys that I got a lot of respect for. When coaches come out and say this stuff, I don't believe them. If you're not willing to put names, dates, contacts on the record, if all you say is, well, so-and-so got a phone call, we've got it on the record that school X has been reaching out to our guys. Well, either say it on the record or I don't believe you. It's going to be something that I'm going to parrot for a very long time. If you don't put it on the record, then I'm not going to believe you. It is the exact same thing that happens in every element of business, every career field. Somebody comes out and says, well, there's people out there that are doing this bad thing. Okay, who are they? Who are they? And exactly what are they doing and what are they doing it? And if you're unable or unwilling to give me the data that I need in order to work on fixing the problem, then not even if I don't believe you, I can't do anything about it, right? I can't do anything about it. If this was a legitimate issue for Nebraska, and they had, after last year's spring game, schools calling their players and going, if you leave Lincoln, Nebraska, and you come out here, tell you what, we'll hook you up with an NIL deal, especially from a guy that has an NIL transfer portal quarterback as his QB1 in Dylan Raiola. That's a Georgia guy. He's in Lincoln, Nebraska. You think he moved up there for free? You think he transferred to Lincoln, Nebraska because of a deep history connected to the Cornhuskers? That man was being looked at as the next big thing in college football at the quarterback position. He was the next big thing, and he's in Lincoln, Nebraska. With all due respect to the Huskers, y'all have been relevant as recently as the Dallas Cowboys. That is to say, a very long time ago. Actually, a little bit more than that, but not the point. Not the point. Point is, Matt, you have one of those guys as your QB1. Hell, as the crown jewel of your program right now. If you're not willing to put names and numbers out there of people that are breaking the law, wow, I'm dismissing it. Sorry. That just kind of is what it is. All right. I got a little bit of sound from the Luka Doncic trade that went down. Shams explained how this whole trade was laid out. Yeah, I swear if this doesn't play, I got to reboot everything. I lost all my sound, Lonzo. I lost all my sound. I don't know what's happening here. This is really frustrating. So
in the future, if you can send me those files too, then we got a backup.
Yep. Sound card is being accessed by another program and cannot be used by multiple applications at the same time. So what else is using my sound card? I don't know.
Would you like me to yell for engineering and see if they're available?
No, I'm going to turn it off and on again when we go to break. This is a bummer. What a great segment for my sound card to break. The sound-based segment. The only one that I had to have it for today.
You can go to break early if you like, so you can fix it.
Tell you what, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's run to a break because I do have not just Shams, but I have a bunch of other sound from this Luka Doncic trade that I want to play for you. So we're going to run to a break. When we come back, we'll jump back into that for just a couple of minutes. I know there's a bunch of you that are like, what are we doing, Rob? It's Super Bowl week. I understand that. This trade, I think, is going to go down in NBA history. And if Luka Doncic goes out west, becomes the face of the Lakers for like 10 years, it's going to be one of the most ridiculous trades of all time. If Luka goes out to LA and he's never the same guy, maybe the Mavs come off as looking like stinking geniuses. We'll talk about that when we come back. Rob Brown, Lonzo Mendy, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, I'm going to put us on away for a minute, reset everything. We'll come right back. Don't go anywhere. Therefore I am. I think we're good now.
Okie dokie.
Let's find out. 12/12, Saturday night into Sunday morning. Shams drops the bombs that Luka Doncic is headed from the Mavs to the Lake Show. How did this come about? Shams, he said, and then now it doesn't play again, Lonzo. I hate everything and everyone.
It's up. It's on.
No, I know it's not on you.
And we know that my audio is playing. So
yep,
I mean,
it's not. It's not on you. This is just outstanding timing.
This deal materialized in the shadows.
Cool.
This came out of nowhere. This is maybe the most stunning trade, definitely that I've been a part of in recent NBA history. As far as it was never clearly out there, and you saw two teams in Rob Pelinka with the Lakers, Dallas Mavericks, Nico Harrison there doing this deal. And I'm told Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, the players, coaches, a lot of people on both sides with the Mavericks and Lakers had no idea. I can assuredly tell you it's a fact. LeBron James had no idea this was coming. Anthony Davis had no idea this was coming. I'm told Luka Doncic is still stunned about this trade. But when you look at the totality of what just occurred, Luka Doncic is a 25-year-old, like you said, mega star, perennial all-NBA player. He's someone that you think of as untouchable, as a guy that's never going to be traded. I'm told that the Mavericks actually approached the Lakers and offered Luka Doncic a few days ago in a trade. Very recently, the Mavericks went out. They knew exactly who they wanted. They wanted Anthony Davis. That's the player that if they were ever going to trade Luka Doncic, if this was even a thought that was going to cross their mind, it was for AD. And so the Mavericks called the Lakers, offered Luka Doncic, and that's when the Lakers had to huddle internally. They did.
Yeah, had to huddle internally because they called and offered us who? They did what now? Now,
so the new ownership is already being blamed, saying that they have no idea what they're doing. But haven't they been the owners for like a couple of years?
A couple of years now.
Yeah,
Cuban sold the controlling interest over to a different group. And here's the thing, anytime something like this happens, the internet loves to go bring up old stuff. Somebody found a video of Mark Cuban. Luka Doncic got engaged like a year and a half ago, like in season. And somebody found a video where a media member caught Mark Cuban in a Mavs pregame on the sideline. They're like, hey, Luka got engaged. What are you giving him for an engagement gift? And Cuban was like, I don't know. I got to talk to my wife about it. She's in charge of that. And they go, come on, you're in charge of this. What are you giving him? And he said, and I quote, a championship, end quote, right? Like Mark Cuban would not have been on this move. The new ownership was. Now, it's funny you bring up ownership because when Shams said that the Mavs approached the Lakers a few days ago with this trade in mind. And by the way, I don't know if it was because of what got said or if it was a coincidence, but when Shams said in that clip, Anthony Davis was the only guy they would have made these moves for, Lonzo kind of threw his hands up like, what? Which is the correct response. What? You're giving up a 28+ per game superstar for a 31-year-old dude who doesn't play 28 games? That's what you're trading 28 points per game for 28 games. What are we doing here? BJ Armstrong, former NBA player, said on his podcast, he thinks there may be something nefarious afoot.
That's an owner-to-owner deal. Trust me on that. If the owner says they want to make the deal, Mo, you got to do your job. And if the owner wants to do that, what are you going to do? This had nothing to do with the GMs or the presidents or whatever the titles are. How do I know it's an owner-to-owner deal? It happened in the middle of the night on a Saturday. No one can talk about it tomorrow on all the talk shows. Someone knew about it. So I'm not sitting here acting like, oh, wow, what the GM made this call. And no, come on. You're going to do that? Someone knew. The someone are the owners, one owner to another owner. We live in the age of information, right, Bo? And no one heard about it? No one heard about this? The owners felt it was good business for them for whatever the reason may be, and it's done. Let's play basketball. That's what I want to see.
Okay. I mean, honestly, that theory kind of holds water a little bit, right? The theory kind of holds water. There is, if you've worked in this industry, if you've worked in broadcasting at all, you understand the timing of a news dump. That is strategically positioning the release of information in order to put it into the public eye at a point where the public eye is focused elsewhere, right? You drop news really late on Friday nights where most people are asleep and the rest are, in their social mindset. They may not be paying attention. This news dropped on a Saturday night at 12:12 in the morning. That's the most out of public sight news dump I've ever seen. Now, my favorite thing happening right now, if you go on social media, is videos out of the Dallas metropolis that are of random places that are just like breaking out in chaos because this news was such a big deal, right? There was a video of a couple in the middle of their, well, I guess probably it's 12:22 in the morning. Well, I guess 11 o'clock there. In the middle of their wedding reception, that the groom pulls all his boys off to the side, and in the middle of my man's wedding reception, they're all standing there lamenting this trade. One of the groomsmen walks over to the groom, and he's like, "This isn't real, right?" And the groom's like, "It can't be. This can't be real. This can't be really happening tonight, right?" There was another one that I saw late last night of a nightclub in Dallas where the DJ stopped the music and announced the trade to the nightclub. You understand what news has got to break down for a nightclub to stop the party at the place that is only there for the party to tell the people in attendance, hey, everybody's favorite player got traded. That's huge. That's enormous.
Did they continue dancing afterwards?
Yeah, they started up the music back, but you can see that the vibe's dead. The vibe's dead. And big cities, if you haven't spent time in
bad move by the DJ then.
I mean, again, I get it, right? Luka is Dallas right now, especially with everything that's going on with the Dallas Cowboys. Luka Doncic and the Mavs kind of are Dallas sports right now. I guess I should say were Dallas sports. I get it. And big cities, there's a different vibe about NBA teams in the big cities than there is, kind of out in the smaller regional areas. NBA teams in the cities are big. Go to downtown, even Charlotte. The Buzz are bad right now. Go to Charlotte. You see Hornet stuff hanging from light posts and stuff. The city celebrate this. It's a big deal in the city. Dallas shut down at 12:22 in the morning over this news. Nico Harrison, GM, did a follow-up presser with Jason Kidd. I'm going to play it for you and then describe what you saw.
Well, let's be clear. I'm the one making the decision, and Jay's supportive of it. So it's me. I don't do anything that's scary. I think everything that we do, we put a lot of work into it. We study it, and we restudy it, and we go back, and I understand the magnitude of it. So the easiest thing for me to do is do nothing, and everyone would praise me for doing nothing. But we really believe in it, and time will tell if I'm right.
So, couple of things about that. Number one, the easiest thing would be for me to do nothing, and everyone would praise me for doing nothing. You do understand that sometimes doing nothing is the right deal. This is not to say, Nico, you had two options, trade Luka or do nothing. It's a trade deadline. You can make any move you want. You could have made any move that you wanted to move pieces around Luka Doncic, to give Luka Doncic, a 25-year-old generational star, an opportunity to succeed. Nico has one thing to work with here, and that one thing is Luka goes to LA, and the injuries or the conditioning or whatever prevent him from becoming a stud. But see, here's the thing. Luka dragged your team to an NBA Finals. Luka dragged your team to an NBA Finals with, frankly, very little around him. And when he got to the NBA Finals, he got attacked in them. That's why Dallas was not a threat in the NBA Finals, because the C's attacked him, and he had nobody to bail him out at all. There was nowhere else to go at that point. Keep in mind, the Mavs also at one point had Jalen Brunson on this team, who is now a megastar in New York City. They had Kristaps Porzingis on this team. And I understand there's a lot of question marks about Kristaps, but when Porzingis went down for the Celtics last year, it was like, what? Oh, no! Because Porzingis has kind of been balling out. Imagine if the Dallas Mavericks had Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luka Doncic on them right now. They're an NBA's Finals frontrunner right now. They're an NBA Finals frontrunner today. Yet you made all those moves, and now you got rid of the last piece of that move in return for Anthony Davis. It's just not a good look. Now, when I put that into light with the BJ Armstrong audio we played right before that, where a former NBAer said, look, this is an owner-to-owner deal. This is a deal that the owners wanted done. And if the owners want it done, it's going to get done. Forget the GMs, which should be fine. Because, look, at the end of the day, if you're getting paid, be the general manager of an NBA team money, and the owner comes out and says, yo, I want this done, but I know it's not going to be popular, so I need you to do it and take the heat for me, right? Take the heat for me. That's fine, because the only guy with the power to fire a general manager is the owner. So if the owner did indeed go to Nico and be like, hey, I want this move done, and by the way, I need you to lay down on the train tracks for it, but you'll keep your job for a very long time if you do, maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Because BJ's logic that this was an owner-to-owner trade, that this was the owners of the Mavs and the owners of the Lakers coming together behind the scenes to make a deal happen, and it's not on Nico, that is literally, of all the theories I've heard so far, the only one that makes sense. The only one.
How do you really feel if you're that guy, though? I mean, if you're the guys who are supposed to make these deals and the owners are doing it, not you. I mean, do you worry for your job, or because
this is arguably the most. I don't even think arguably. I think as far as a single fan base is concerned, this has got to be the most disliked trade of all time. Of all time. Honestly, like there's been plenty of trades where guy wants out, superstar wants out, and the team trades him, and maybe they don't get nearly what you wanted for him. But at least in those trades, fans can largely understand, look, we had to take what we could get. That guy wanted out. He was never going to stay here. There was zero indication that Luka wanted out of Dallas.
I know that there's a temptation to focus on the Lakers here because they potentially just acquired the next great Laker, and it's an amazing story when you look at the history of their franchise. But the story of the moment and what my phone is filling up with is the reaction to the Dallas Mavericks making this move. I had an all-star, current NBA all-star text me and say, do you know how much the Mavericks must hate Luka? I mean, this is what they're talking about in the league. I've had, veteran coaches text me and say they can't believe, and they saw this. They just have never seen anything like this. And Luka is 25 years old, okay? He is under contract for several more years, and this summer he is already eligible for a Supermax. I find it completely unbelievable that he would not sign that contract. This was not done because the Mavericks didn't think Luka wanted to be there. Even if he didn't sign that contract, you would have a whole year to figure it out.
That's Brian Windhorst. Brian Windhorst says this cat would have wanted to be there, right? This guy would have wanted to be there. Supermax contract, by the way, which Luka's would have been $365 million. To be eligible for a Supermax contract, you must still be with the NBA team that drafted you or traded for you when you were on your rookie deal. Luka Doncic was going to hit his eligibility mark for a Supermax for $365 million this year. There is zero indication that Luka Doncic wanted out of Dallas, especially knowing that he was eligible for a $365 million. Now, there's the thought that, because again, people are continuing to try to find a way to justify this trade, that the Mavericks just didn't want to pay $365 million to Luka Doncic, which, okay, fair. That's a lot of money to wrap up in one player. That's like 30+% of your salary cap wrapped up in one player. I understand it. But even if that was the case, that still does not justify calling the Lakers and only the Lakers to put Luka Doncic on the table as a trade piece. There is something that happened here that we don't know about yet. And again, as of right now, I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong. I don't know. But BJ Armstrong's logic is the only logic that makes any sense to me right now. That this was just a deal that the ownership of the Mavericks wanted. Because I'm sorry, he can say it until he's Dallas Mavericks blue in the face. Nico is not convincing me that they looked around the NBA when you know that De'Aaron Fox was out there for a trade. You are not convincing me that Anthony Davis was the only guy in the NBA that they would have traded 25-year-old Luka Doncic for. You're just not convincing me that that is the only guy that you were looking for. You're just not. There's something else that happened here, and nobody knows what it is. Nobody. And I hope one day we find out, because I'm going to tell you right now, unless there is something that happened behind the scenes, which, by the way, would be super illegal in the NBA, but unless there was some promise made by Jeannie Buss and the Lakers ownership to the owners of the Dallas Mavericks of, if you get us Luka, then, down the line, we'll give you whatever. We'll give you this guy. We'll give you that guy, whatever. Unless there is some promise of future considerations that aren't on the trade sheet right now, this trade just doesn't make sense. There is no one out there, no one at all, anywhere, period. None of you, not an NBA GM, not an NBA player, not a guy on YouTube broadcasting from mama's basement. There's not a dude or a gal out there who believes that Anthony Davis is the missing piece to get the Mavs over the top. There's something else here. It's, again, even if it was the fact that the Mavericks believe that Luka Doncic's conditioning and ability was diminished, it still doesn't explain this trade. Put him on the block. Unless they were concerned that if they put him on the block, teams were going to start digging into Luka and find out something that they know. And then his trade value was going to plummet because, he's got, a knee injury that could diminish his career, or the drinking really is a problem that's impacting his basketball, or whatever. That's all I got. Outside of that, there's no justification for this. And I really hope we find out one day what the hell was going on. All right, we'll get away from this and get into some other stuff as the show rolls on. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
I guess people don't realize that Mark Cuban is not the boss there anymore.
No, I think he has a 20% ownership stake now.
Yeah.
27%. It's currently owned by the Adelson and Dumont families.
Dumont.
In 2023, Miriam Adelson, along with her daughter Sivin and son-in-law Patrick Dumont, acquired controlling interest in the team, purchasing 73% of the franchise at a valuation of exceeding $4 billion. Cuban is still active in basketball conversations, but has no authority.
He was the owner for so long, you just automatically...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, when you think Dallas Mavericks, you think him.
For sure.
He hasn't had control in a while, so... Throwing in some softball stats. Go, dude.
A tightwad and idiot. I mean, I feel like Mark Cuban's doing okay for himself. I don't think you turned yourself into a billionaire being an idiot, but I'm an idiot. So, which I guess actually reinforces that point.
I don't think that's how you spell that, Kane. I think you're supposed to be a B in there.
And also, again, I don't know why Mark Cuban's being brought into this. He doesn't control the team anymore.
I don't know how big of a deal was made when he was no longer the owner. I mean, I do remember something, but it was very small.
I think it was a big deal in that Cuban, I know it was a big deal in the Dallas circles because for a while there, I think Mark Cuban was viewed as an owner as the exception to the rule. Like Mark Cuban felt like one of the very few owners who actually cares about winning championships and not just from the standpoint of like, it'll make me a bunch more money. Like it felt like he really wanted to win championships, which is why a lot of people really enjoyed watching Mark Cuban, owner of the Mavericks. When he sold the team, he sold it to two more families, and the vibe was, yeah, they're just investors, right? Like they're just buying this team in order to invest money, not to win championships. But at the same time, it's like, doesn't that kind of knock the legacy of Mark Cuban a little bit, right? Or did Cuban just go, you know what? I tried, but this market can't win a championship, so I might as well get while the getting's good. Because at the end of the day, there are 0 billionaires on planet Earth that care about anything more than they care about their money. If they were, they wouldn't be billionaires. You're never going to become a billionaire if money isn't your number one love.
Or you're the sole heir of something.
Of other billionaires.
And there are rarely sole heirs anywhere. Always some cousins with a claim or something, you know.
And even still, like most heirs of billionaires don't inherit the whole fortune. Oh,
we're now tied. I'm good.
At least we're both starting off at 1.
I think we finished off the last week tied too.
We did.
Yeah.
I think that's actually 3 weeks in a row we've ended tied.
I won in there somewhere. So we all won the last 3 weeks in a row, if that's true.
Good enough for that. This show has never made a secret of the fact that we are Greg Olsen guys. Big fan of the former Carolina Panther tight end turned Fox commentator who inexplicably, that's not true. I know exactly why it happened, but in terms of product on the television, inexplicably lost his job as the numero uno color guy to Tom Brady, who is, and I've said this before, despite being a career Brady guy, not good at TV. It's got to be the most elementary level, basic color guy I've ever heard elevated to this level. Honestly, like it's big time the boss's kid vibes. It's just not good. It's the same call over and over. Greg Olsen, Lonzo and I agree on like 7 things. One of them is that, especially after hearing Brady, Greg Olsen should still be the guy.
Stop being so divisive. We are unified in almost everything.
Minus all the things we're not. We are absolutely unified on the Greg Olsen's a dude.
Don't be a divider. Be a uniter.
Greg Olsen was on the call the last time that the Kansas City Chiefs played for a Super Bowl. Last week, he was asked, hey, man, what's the difference between the last KC big game and this KC going into the big game? And I really like the answer.
I mean, I remember going into the game and we're trying to map out, okay, we have Philadelphia. And this was really at the onset of the quarterback sneak and the tush push and how they used 3rd and 4th down to their advantage. And they wanted to get a lead, and they put so much pressure on you early in games by going for it on 4th down. And we talked a lot about how 3rd down, they would actually just treat as 2nd because they knew they always in their back pocket had another 1.5 yards to 2 yards with the quarterback sneak. And it turned into just like an offensive slugfest. I mean, both teams scored 35 plus. And Jalen Hurts probably played the best game of the season, and he was the runner-up MVP to Mahomes that year, which is saying a lot. He had the one fumble that they scooped and scored. Outside of that, he was incredible. He had the deep touchdown to A.J. Brown. They were efficient. They didn't run the ball real well. Jalen Hurts was their leading rusher that game. They didn't get a lot out of Miles Sanders and the rest. So I think that's obviously going to be a little bit different. But listen, it's pretty remarkable that, it seems like over the last couple of years, it's been Kansas City and then a rematch. And they got San Francisco again last year and pulled it off at the end. And, we'll see now they get another, Philadelphia gets another crack at them here in 2 weeks.
So I pointed out that the last time that these two teams got together with the Lombardi on the line, Philly couldn't run the ball. But they got a lot out of Jalen Hurts in that game. Jalen Hurts this year has got to be, I think, one of the most critiqued quarterbacks entering a Super Bowl. It's been in my brain for a week and a half, coming out of the NFC Championship game, a game where the Eagles did not run the ball all that much. I'm watching one of the morning debate shows on one of the big networks here in the Radio Ranch. And I remember the little cryo down across the bottom said, "Is Jalen Hurts' passing ability holding the Eagles back?" And I thought, you guys are aware Saquon Barkley's on this team, right? You guys are aware that Saquon Barkley is averaging like 1,000 yards a game, right? You guys are aware that Saquon Barkley is less than 3-1 to score 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Less than 3-1. You know what? Travis Kelce, who I'd say is like the touchdown maker in the red zone for the Chiefs, his number to score 2 touchdowns in this game, 9.5 to 1. Saquon Barkley's less than 3-1. That's a ridiculous number. I don't think the Eagles are held back by a lack of trust in Jalen Hurts' ability to throw the football. I think Jalen Hurts throwing the football is held back because you don't need him to. At the end of the day, if you can run the football the way that they can run the football with Saquon Barkley, there is no need to have your quarterback or anybody else's go out there and throw the ball 30 times. There's just no need for it.
Hey, you know what other team can run the ball really well? Kansas City Chiefs. Just saying.
They can. They ain't running it like the Eagles do. And that's not a shot at Kansas City. That's putting Saquon on a platform. Saquon Barkley is having one of the most incredible incredible years that we have seen out of any running back, any team in a very long time. I think Saquon Barkley is having a year that we are going to talk about for a very long time as one of the best single seasons we have ever seen a running back have. Kansas City does run the ball well. Philadelphia runs the ball better than them. And everybody else, right? And so my thought on this the whole time has been, I'm almost kind of intrigued. To, we've talked about Kansas City and the fact that Lonzo pointed out earlier, there's a lot of people who look at Kansas City and they go, wait a minute. This team kind of feels like they've been holding back a little bit, right? Like this team, I pointed out earlier, a lot of the reason that people turned on Kansas City is because they've been dominant for a long time, but their dominance used to come in a way that even if they were beating your teams, it was still fun to watch because they were just so electric. And this year they're not. They're just not an electric offense. But I do suspect to some degree there's a reason for that, which is they don't have to be. Winning 15 games and winning by an average margin of 1 point get you the same playoff seedings and postseason opportunity as if you win every game by 40 points. If the Chiefs got to a point in the season where they would have dropped a couple of games then yeah, I think we would have seen high flying. But see, I kind of get that vibe to some degree about the Eagles as well. I don't know that the Eagles have put everything on display that the Eagles have on the play sheet either, because same thing, they haven't had to. When I can go out there in the NFC Championship game against Washington and I can hand the ball to Saquon Barkley and he can go off for a, 55-yard touchdown run and make it look like he's jogging, why am I going to put Jalen Hurts on full tilt? Now, do I think Jalen Hurts is in the category with Patrick Mahomes? No, of course not. Nobody does. But we have seen, as Greg Olsen pointed out there, the last time these teams got together in a Super Bowl, the Eagles weren't bad, and Jalen Hurts was actually pretty good. Jalen Hurts was the leading rusher on the Eagles. And yeah, it was partially because Miles Sanders, now Carolina Panther Miles Sanders, who had a phenomenal year all year, just didn't show up in that Super Bowl. But Jalen covered that up and threw the ball well, had some big bomb plays. A lot of people betting the under in this game, 49.5. Betting the over on this game, 49.5. To the point that it was one of those bets that I said last week. If you want to bet the over 49.5, do it today. Do it today, because I think this number is going to move a little bit. By the way, it did move, Lonzo, down to 49. You lost the hook, which is great for me. Yeah, you lost a half a point, but you also have the pushback in play, right? So if you're going to lose by hitting it 49, at least you're going to get the money back. However, the reason I'm intrigued by that number is because the more I think about it, by the way, 76% of the bets coming in on over 49 right now. And Rob Brown, ordinarily, I've told you before, if that number hits 80%, it's an auto fade for me. If the public ever goes 80% on one side over the other, I just automatically bet the other side. Because contrarian bets like that hit all the time. If you have that much money coming over in that line, is it responding to it? There's a reason for that. So I am sitting here thinking I might talk myself out of my auto fade here and go for the over 49. I might do it now. And again, two reasons. Number one, I do believe that on Super Bowl Sunday, you're going to have a gazillion casual bettors who are going to slam the over because nobody wants to be the guy that goes to the party having bet the under and actively root for no touchdowns, right? I want all of you to sit through a defensive slugfest. Nobody score. Nobody wants that. I get that. And I think that number is going to come up. But the more I think about it, the things we've been saying about the Chiefs, they're holding back. They haven't shown you everything. They're getting Sky Moore back. You add Sky Moore opposite Xavier Worthy, opposite Hollywood Brown. And oh, by the way, we haven't even hardly this week talked about Nuke DeAndre, who's, by the way, you know his receiving number? I'm going to go pull it back up to see if it's moved. Nuke's receiving number, the last time that I looked at it, what would you guess DeAndre Hopkins' receiving number is at yardage-wise, Lonzo?
You mean overall for the season?
No, for this game. His over-under betting number, how many receiving yards is that number?
20.
It's 10.
Okay.
10 and a half. He's got to get 11 yards for me to win this bet. I slammed that.
I was going to say, it's not like he's a bad receiver. They're just spreading the ball around a lot.
They do spread the ball around, and I also think that with 3 receivers out there and 2 of them being quick, ordinarily guys have been putting their lockdown on Nuke, and Mahomes is finding other guys. I don't think with Sky Moore added back, if he's 100% or somewhere close to it, I don't think you can play DeAndre Hopkins the same way you've played him. That's an over bet for me. The point here is, I don't think, honestly, that anything we have critiqued about the Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're holding back. I don't think they put the full offense on display. I don't think they've given you everything they got in the playbook. I don't know that that might not be true about Philly a little bit as well. Because all year long, Philly has been able to, in very tight games, just turn around and hand the ball to Saquon. And Saquon has been able to repeatedly come up with stupid plays, backwards hurdles and highlight reel runs, right? I am getting to the point where I'm like, I wonder if Philly is in that same boat. Now, I've told you the determining factor of this game for me, the reason that I am a Kansas City better in this game. And the reason why is if it comes down to Nick Sirianni versus Andy Reid, I give the advantage to Andy Reid. If it comes down to Patrick Mahomes v. Jalen Hurts, even if Jalen Hurts has the game of his life, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. Listen to Mark Schlereth real quick.
As far as talent is concerned, there is no question the Eagles are a more talented football team. Like, I would sit there and say offensive line, as good as Kansas City is with a couple of all-pros, I think the Eagles are better. Running back, you give it to Saquon and the Philadelphia Eagles without question. Wide receiver, tight end combination. I would go A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert over the Kansas City Chiefs, okay? Offensively, the only place I would give Kansas City Chiefs the confidence pick is at the quarterback position. Pretty important position to get a confidence pick in. And then defensively, I know Chris Jones is great, but if I go totality of the defensive line, I'm giving it to the Eagles. If I go linebackers, I'm giving it to the Eagles. If I go secondary, they've got three corners that can all play. And Kansas City is good on the back end, but they're not as good as Philadelphia. Yes, Philadelphia is a more talented roster. But you know what they don't have? They don't have Andy Reid. They don't have Steve Spagnuolo, although they do have Fangio. And they don't have, most importantly, Patrick Mahomes. And those things are the great equalizers in this game.
That's exactly my thought. On paper, if you look unit to unit, I do think Philadelphia is a better team in terms of talent. The problem is the four places where I think Kansas City's better, the four places: quarterback, head coach, offensive coordinator, which is your head coach, but offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Those are the four places I think a football game gets won and lost in the Super Bowl.
Before the injury, I would have thrown in kicker.
I might be willing to throw in kicker, honestly.
Although he's been better. So
he has gotten better. I think there was obviously the drama surrounding Harrison Butker. I don't know if that got into his head. I know he's gotten banged up a little bit.
He was out with a major injury for his
I know he
plant
was.
leg. It had nothing to do with any of that other stuff.
He was having some accuracy issues before that, and I wonder if that had to do with it before it came in.
I don't think he was.
But whatever. Even if I give you the kicker, at the end of the day, the four places I definitely think the Chiefs are a better unit: quarterback, head coach, and therefore offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. That the most important places. That's why I'm leaning Kansas City. However, I wait to see, are the Eagles holding back? Is there a bag they've not gotten into yet? They break out in this game and kind of make us all go, oh, they got that. Oh, we got this. Sports Flash.
I expect that kind of enthusiasm. As we approach the NBA trade line, players are moving after Luka Doncic trade to the Lakers. Another all-star move last night as Sacramento sent De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs and acquired Chicago guard Zach LaVine in a 3-team deal. The Kings also received Sidi Cissoko, 3 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. The Bulls get a first-round pick as well as Zach Collins and Trey Jones from the Spurs and Kevin Huerter from Sacramento. After a national championship win, Ohio State offensive coordinator Chip Kelly is leaving the team to join the Las Vegas Raiders in the same role under new head coach Pete Carroll. Hey, listen, man, I'm upset. Ohio State's losing all their guys. I don't know why. Tune in Wednesday night at 6:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Western Carolina Catamounts. It's Furman versus Western Carolina right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, upstate. Sorry, I'm looking up kicker stats. And so far, Harrison Butker hasn't missed a kick in the postseason. What?
Blew it. I'm going to email him.
How do you know? Were you asked about it, or you just realized? Yeah, my bad. It is an us thing. It's not. I'm not taking full blame, but I should at least get part of it. Yeah, JD, he was top 5 as far as stats goes for the entire season and hasn't missed a kick in the postseason so far. So. He missed 1 or 2 when he came back from the injury, but he was trying to adjust that plant leg injury. He's got to mess with you, even if it's just from a confidence standpoint.
All right. During the break, I went over to the storage shed next door, and I had to dig way back down to the deep, the far side of the storage shed. But I was able to find the tallest soapbox that I was able to find, and I'm going to climb onto it now.
Wait, you haven't been on one the entire day?
I've been very even keeled and level headed so far.
You've been trying to insert certain things like the entire show, so I thought you were already on the soapbox.
Well, I mean, it's not inserting. It's just talking sports with the people. I'm a man of the people, but I am going to climb up on the soapbox now. The NFL, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, the NFL has an image issue right now, whether they like it or they don't. Whether it's accurate or not is irrelevant. What's relevant is they have an image issue. As I said on the show last week, take 2 minutes to pop on social media and just go look at any post that the NFL's made over the past couple of weeks. And one of the things that you will see is that there is a large percentage of Americans that are unhappy, displeased with the National Football League. And again, whether they are accurate criticisms, complaints, critiques, or not, unfortunately for the NFL, is kind of irrelevant right now. What is relevant is that a large portion of American football fans believe that there is poor enough officiating across the league right now that one team has earned a large benefit of the doubt in some very critical situations for the last couple of years. It has led to a conversation that I have been having on shows for a very long time. It is a conversation that has been at times contentious. It has been a conversation that at times has developed into some funny running jokes. It has been a conversation that at times I have said, this is not a joke to me anymore. And that conversation is about whether or not the NFL has enough of an officiating problem that changes need to be made. My answer is yes, was yes, has been yes, and will continue to stay yes. In the search for solutions to what even Lonzo said last week is an issue of poor officiating around the entire league. I have said repeatedly, there is zero reason that we are not working to ingratiate technology into the officiating of the game of football at its highest level of professional play. There's no reason. The NFL had some interesting comments over the weekend. Rob Maddie is a reporter for the Associated Press. And Rob had a conversation with the NFL's Vice President of Football Business Strategy, Kimberly Fields Esquire. Kimberly Fields Esquire, as she has written in this article many, many times.
Wasn't she on Facts of Life?
I don't know. Claimed that while the NFL is close to embracing technology to determine whether a first down was earned, Kimberly Fields Esquire said that digital advances, quote, cannot replace the current procedure for spotting the ball, end quote. Kimberly Fields Esquire said, and I directly quote, what this technology cannot do is take the place of the human element in determining where forward progress ends. There will always be a human official spotting the ball. Once the ball is spotted, then the line to gain technology actually does the measurement itself. So I think it's probably been a point of confusion around what technology can and can't do. There will always be a human element because of the forward progress conversation. Kimberly Fields Esquire, respectfully, I could not disagree with you more. See, because one of the things that has been developed over time in the landscape of utilizing technology in order to determine distances, one of the things that has been used for a very long time is the ability to have a trigger that is utilized to mark an exact moment in time when a measurement needs to be taken. One of the things that I have no doubt can be institutionalized with this technology is an ability for the computer of whatever type you utilize. Again, I pointed out last week, there's a video going around on the internet right now. You can go watch it yourself if you want to take the time to search it and find it, of a equipment manager for an NFL team. And this equipment manager is displaying the technology of this genre that is already being utilized by teams. They are able to stick a microchip into the cleat of an NBA player, an NFL player, pardon me. Got NBA on the brain right now, of an NFL player. And this chip is not only not detectable by the player who is wearing the cleat and running around, mainly because it is so minuscule that it has no weight to it. But this chip can determine precisely how many steps that player took, how quickly that player was moving, how fast that player was running. It can give you insane and immense amount of data so that you can break down every aspect of what is happening with that player. Then you can take that information, you can plug it in with everything else going on in that player's world, and you can start to pick out trends. Hey, this player tends to be able to run faster after this or before that or whatever. And you can bring the most out of that athlete. But this chip, more than anything else, is very good about letting you know exactly where it is, was, has been. Like really good, like down to the inches. Okay? So even if I may not know all the precise requirements of pulling this off, putting a chip in both ends of the football that can tell you exactly where it was at any given moment seems like a good idea. Having a couple of chip readers, you can put one on the top of the first down marker. We can keep them on the field. Keep the chain gang in football. And doing so, connecting it in a way so that when a referee blows a whistle to signify that a player is down due to loss of forward momentum, that chip, even if the ball keeps moving after the play, would be able to say, this is precisely where I was the second that whistle blew. I was right here on this spot, this yard line, this inch of this yard line. It's right there. This is garbage. This is not okay. The NFL has damn near unlimited money at this point. I mean, they're making money hand over fist. And I would argue maybe more than ever before, the NFL should have incentive to make this happen. You are right now, by a large swath of American football fans, straight up being accused of utilizing spotting of the football. I don't want to use the word to rig games or the phrase to rig games, but you are certainly being accused right now of utilizing your lack of ability to properly spot the football, of influencing games. Again, whether you are or are not is irrelevant. The accusation is loud right now from like a lot of people. And the problem for you is we know that some dumb idiot out here in America, I have the technology that could be properly utilized to fix those accusations right here on this little device that fits comfortably in my palm and in my pocket. This little device has a chip in it. I'm holding my cell phone for those of you not watching the stream. Okay, which you should. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Join us. We broadcast all 4 hours of the show live every single day that we do it. In this device right here, there's a little microchip that talks with a bleeping satellite in outer space, multiple satellites in outer space. And at any given moment, I can push a button on this phone and it will talk to those satellites, and those satellites will send it a signal that says, here's exactly where you are. Yesterday, I utilized this exact technology to ask my phone how to get to a location I'd never been to before. And this little satellite, or this little chip, will talk to 3 satellites orbiting the world and will tell the little chip that is in my phone, hey, in approximately 125 feet, there's going to be a street that you turn to go left. Now, that is a chip talking to a satellite, again, in space. I need you to put a chip that talks to a computer that's like 50 feet away to get a very, very good picture of where the ball is. This is one of those spots where I genuinely don't understand. I really don't understand. You would forget be doing the fans a favor and giving the people what they want, because I have watched the calls for robo-umps, or at least in the NFL's case, for spotting the football with more accuracy. This has been a joke for a very long time going on. There was and I don't even remember who it was for, Lonzo, but there was a commercial a couple of years ago, a football commercial, where the commercial starts with a referee spotting the ball, and the ref comes over and he like stops the clock, and he's like, "The spotting of the football is an inexact science. We're utilizing our best estimate." Like, it was a commercial that was a joke done years ago. This has been an issue for a very long time. I would argue, at least since we all collectively recognized that technology has advanced well beyond 2 sticks with a chain between it. The system of measurement that we have utilized in this game since 1921 or whatever it was. You have got a point in time where you are making money hands over fist. And again, this is from somebody who's on board with this because I'm a fan of it. I participate in it. But I have also said, as a gambler, I don't want gambling to have an impact on the game. This is why I've said before, if players like Jonte Porter get caught up, accused of, and are proven to be manipulating sports in order to be involved in the gambling aspect of them, they should 100% catch a lifetime ban from the sport. And frankly, I think they should be charged with a crime. That's how serious I take it. That's from somebody who gets paid to do this. The NFL sending out one person to say we can't utilize technology because technology can't tell when the ball is stopped via forward momentum. I beg to differ, Kimberly Fields Esquire. I beg to differ because, again, I can take my phone. I can plug it into my car. It goes and broadcasts a GPS screen to a screen in my car. That phone talks to 3 satellites orbiting the planet, and it can tell me from however many hundreds of miles in the air these satellites are, when my car comes to a stop, and precisely from how many feet away from a turn I need to make.
Not that accurate. I get what you're saying, but it's not. It's not as accurate as you're making it out to be.
Yours may not be.
No one's.
I am telling you, mine is.
No one's is. I mean, I can open up a game right now that's an AR game, and watch my character move without me moving.
But that is running that location technology into and through an entire new apparatus, which is the app of the game itself, right? My GPS app. If I pull it up right now and zoom in, it will not only show me in this building, it'll show me the corner of the building that we're in. It'll down to the feet. I'm not going to say inches on my phone, but I'll say it'll get it right within 5, 6, 7 feet. And that's from, again, outer space.
It'll get it right 5 to 6, 7 feet. Okay.
Outer space.
Okay.
If I was to take...
I agree with her. There's no way it can judge when the ball, it's just not going to happen, dude. I mean, I get you want it. And after, if you end up getting this thing that you want, there'll be something else that you want that you'll get that will also make the game worse. It's just not.
So wait. It's not make the game worse.
The game is right.
You think adding if right now we had tech, and I believe we do, had tech that could get the spotting of the ball down 2 inches, you're saying that would make the game worse?
Yes.
Why?
Because it would. Because
that's not an answer.
Because we're on the edge of making everything digital, everything to the degree where you're removing the human element. And I know you, for some reason, don't like humans and don't like the human element. I do. I like humans and the human element.
So you like bad calls. Got it. Checks out.
It goes with territory.
Because that's what that means.
Goes with
I
territory.
like bad calls.
It goes with territory. Without a doubt, it goes with territory, and that's not what that means. But
that is what that means.
No, it's not.
It is.
It's not. I said it's not. You said it is. I'm older, so I'm right.
That's a human element call right there.
Exactly.
If I could add tech to a game where a player either got the first down or didn't, and there was 99% confidence that we know the millimeter the ball's at when the ref says end of play, whether it's because the player's down or because forward momentum is stopped or whatever. Then the only thing that determines where the ball is on the football field is the offense and the defense. That's what it should be. I don't believe the
technology exists or will ever exist as long as there are humans in the game. Now, when it goes to all robots, then you can be pretty accurate.
I disagree entirely. I am willing to bet because, again, my wife has a little white tag on her phone that when she touches a button on her computer, it will tell her to the foot in our house where that thing is.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't get that down a little bit more accurately?
Within a foot. Uh-huh. You keep saying within a foot,
yes.
Within 3 feet.
And that
you
is,
didn't say
and
actually
that is,
accurate to the degree where I am.
Yes,
yeah, it can't.
But this is a $45 piece of equipment that is readily available at any store. The NFL has billions on billions of dollars to get this right and get rid of all the criticism and critique and unfairness.
Never get rid of all the criticism and critiques, ever.
No, but you can always be working towards it. And they refuse to do that. They refuse to do it. When half the NFL world is going, there's a problem here. They're like, no, we're good. I don't like it.
We talked about the 7 things that we do agree with. This is definitely one that we don't agree on and never will. I don't think you're right on this.
Lonzo likes incorrect calls in football. I don't.
Yeah, you can.
I'll
do
take that side.
You can do that. It doesn't work, but I mean, you can keep trying that.
Umpires get it wrong. That's literally the human element.
Stop with your manipulation of words and go to break.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Thank you, Joe and Dave. I appreciate that because it's correct. You ever watch tennis replay challenges? They're incredible.
Now, Joe, if you were incorrect, you would still appreciate it because it's coming from you.
I mean, that's true. Joe's my friend.
Exactly.
But he's also right.
Exactly.
I'll tell my friends when they're wrong.
Will you?
Yeah. I'm doing it right now with you.
Uh-huh.
I'll be right back, guys. Stay right there.
I brought us back just so I can ask Rob if he's an essential oils guy.
No.
What?
Essential oils are garbage.
That's kind of, don't hipsters use?
Yes.
Okay.
They are in the exact same place as crystals.
Are they?
Yes.
Where does one go to get those sort of things?
Hippie stores.
Okay. Where's the hippie store? How would I recognize it? I mean,
No, and anybody who uses
do they have that
oils,
stuff at Trader Joe's?
I'm sure that they do. And anybody who utilizes them as any sort of medicinal quality is a moron.
So if you don't believe in crystals, do you believe in putting metal in like socks and stuff in those? What is it? Copper? Yeah, do you believe in copper?
To be honest, I haven't done the research into it, but like, not really.
If you're an essential oils company out there and you want Rob to sponsor you,
I can tell you, I have turned down endorsements for similar things in the past. I won't do them.
hi, Rob Brown here for Essential Oils.
Do you want to not get better but smell good while you do it?
There you
I'll
go.
tell you this. I will use essential oils to make a room smell good because some of them smell great. But when you start trying to tell me that they're going to make me healthy, you're a liar. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, and you here on the radio broadcast. Be a part of it. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE is the number to be a part of the show. Talking Super Bowl all week long, obviously. I have boiled down the Super Bowl to what I think are the 6 most important things that will determine the outcome of this game. I've given you some of them already, okay? One of them, Chiefs got to figure out how to slow down Saquon Barkley. You got to figure out how to slow this guy down. One of the things that concerns me for Kansas City after last week was James Cook. And this is something I've been upset about with the Buffalo Bills since the AFC title game. James Cook ran the ball 13 times in that game for 85 yards. And then it got to be the fourth quarter tight game. Last couple of drives, James Cook didn't touch the ball anymore. I'm going to need somebody to explain to me why. Okay? They just stopped. The Eagles aren't going to...
Quick question. So before they stopped, were the Chiefs able to shut him down?
No. 13 carries, 85 yards? No.
Were they behind like a couple scores and they needed to throw the ball?
No.
Okay.
This
all
was
right.
while the Bills at one point were leading you guys 10-7. James Cook was James Cooking. And then we get to the fourth quarter, still a one-score game. And not only are they not going to James Cook, but on thirds and shorts, they got James Cook on the sideline. If nothing else, get his ass out there as a distraction. James Cook's back in the game. He's run us for 85 yards on 13 carries. We should probably put a guy on that guy. But they didn't. They put a backup in that Kansas City wasn't afraid of, and then they teed off on Josh Allen late in the game. This is why I have said, I think as much as, and the Chiefs absolutely played better football that day than the Bills did, especially late when it mattered, I also say McDermott can't do it. He just ain't able to go toe-to-toe with Andy Reid. And for the record, not many coaches can. Not many coaches can. But how many times do I got to let my dude go out there and get cooked in the playoffs before I go, you know what? We at least got to try somebody else because he can't. How many times do I got to watch him wreck before I go, probably put somebody else behind the wheel, right? If James Cook gets another 8, 9, 10 carries in that game, maybe we have a different outcome to it. I'm not saying definitively. I'm saying maybe we have a different outcome. But they quit. The Eagles aren't going to stop giving the ball to Saquon Barkley. I don't care if they're down 14. They're still going to give it to him because he's a home run threat every time he touches the rock. So you got to limit Saquon Barkley. And I don't know how you do that. The guy's unbelievable. Just because of Saquon
and very few other options out of the backfield. Philly has the second best rushing offense in the NFL this year. Saquon led the league in carries. The Eagles as a whole were second in the league in yards, averaged just under 5 yards a carry. I'm bad at math, but that says a first down every 3 plays if they just run the ball. Also opens up the field for Jalen Hurts. So I think that's a big thing. Let's talk about some of the other keys to the game, and I'll break these out a little bit more week by week or day by day as we proceed through the week. Here's the second big thing I have in this game. It is something else that I talked a lot about after the AFC title game. If you listened to the show last week, you know there was one name for the Kansas City Chiefs that I said deserves the flowers for the win. And it was a name of a man who doesn't even wear a helmet on Sundays. Defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. This dude's unbelievable. This dude, it's not just that he dials up a lot of blitzes. It's that Spagnuolo, I'm pretty sure, has one of those sci-fi time machines. One of those. What's that thing, Lonzo? I don't know if you know this. In Harry Potter, they have a device of some type that allows them to see into the future, but only like 10 seconds. Right? They can see like the next 10 seconds. So they can look at this thing and they can go, oh, we better change this or that so that future doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure Steve Spags has got one of those because Spags doesn't just blitz. He blitzes where the ball's going. He is able to understand what the most likely play is coming up. That is why on that incomplete pass that Josh Allen threw that ended the game, Josh Allen takes the snap, he rolls out to his right, and before he's even able to look down the field to find Kincaid or Knox or Coleman or Cooper or just anybody in a white hat that he could get the ball to, there's 2 Chiefs right in his face. Offside cornerback came off and outside linebacker both blitz. And when Allen gets over there into the space on the right-hand side, he cannot establish a base, a platform to throw the ball. He's just kind of falling back and away from tackles, heave that thing down there and hope that somebody comes up with a miracle play, and they weren't able to. Spags is fantastic. And I want to point out, we know that Spags is good with the blitz. If I asked you, where in the NFL do you think the Chiefs average in terms of blitz rate, in terms of amount of times that they blitz, percentage of defensive plays that they blitz, where in the NFL do you think the Chiefs rank? First, third, seventh, 13th. Just slightly more than average across the NFL. 13th in the league. They don't blitz a ton of times. They just blitz with great intelligence and foresight. They blitz with an understanding of where the ball is likely going to be. So that when they blitz in the right spot. They eat up. And when they do that, then it feels like they're blitzing more than they are. They barely blitz more than the league average. It just happens to be that unlike the rest of the league, when Spags sends dudes, he knows where the ball's going. He understands the tendencies. So, with that being said, what's Jalen Hurts look like against the blitz? Not great. Not great. Jalen Hurts' time to throw when pressured, third highest time to throw in the league. However, dig this. Against the blitz, Jalen Hurts' yards per attempt, drops from 9.3 to 4.9 yards per throw. Jalen Hurts' turnover rate against the blitz, Jalen Hurts against a base defense or a non-blitzing defense has a turnover rate of 1.8%. So out of every 100 throws, Jalen Hurts throws effectively 2 picks. When you blitz Jalen Hurts, that turnover rate, Lonzo, goes to 5.3%. It more than doubles against the blitz. Jalen Hurts against the blitz. For 37 qualifying quarterbacks this year, 37 quarterbacks qualified for the following stats. In EPA per attempt against the blitz, ranked 37th in the league. In success rate against the blitz, 37th in the league. In sack rate against the blitz, this is Jalen Hurts. This is a running quarterback. This is a guy who squats 10,000 pounds. This is a guy who is probably the only quarterback in the league that can have the tush-push work as frequently as he does, and it is because of how strong he is and what a beast he is in the quads. Of 37 qualifying quarterbacks, Lonzo, against the blitz, he is sacked the fourth most times. He is ranked 33 of 37 in sack rate. YPA, yards per attempt, 32nd of 37 teams. Against the blitz, even with, I would argue, the best offensive line in football is the Philadelphia Eagles. 12% sack rate and a turnover rate that doubles to almost 6% when he is blitzed. For the Chiefs, stop Saquon Barkley. I wish you the best of luck. For the Eagles, stop the blitz. And guess what? I wish you the best of luck. Jalen Hurts fades against the blitz. Mahomes, the opposite. That's why this is my second most important of the 6 things that I have boiled this game down to. Let's keep going. Let's talk more. I'll give you one more, then we'll ask what the X is going on when we wrap up the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. There is a guy who on a forum, and I did not use this because I can't confirm that he's telling the truth or not, but there is a guy who claims to be an engineer on Reddit. And he says that the best chips right now that are used for this type of measurement have a margin of error of about 3 inches in any direction. He said there's a margin of 3 inches of error. And this next guy chimed in and said, that's the name of my adult film. That's a great joke, and I'm here for it.
Can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from we can be twinsies to power shopping. So you stayed on budget. Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase Bank offers available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank NA, member FDIC. Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place. The changes big and small, loud or quiet. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay, things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call Grainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. From the Eagles Market Studio.
The swoop's falling, man.
You hurt yourself fixing your hair. That was a lot of fun to watch and very concerning.
The swoop is falling. I need the swoop to look good. The swoop is falling.
Should I
off
call
the
hair
front
and
of the head.
makeup and get them in here?
Is that an option? I didn't think that was an option. It's part of the reason I work in radio.
I'm sure they have those in like the bigger markets.
They do have them in the smaller markets. When I worked for the TV news down in Pensacola, we had a hair and makeup lady who would come in when I was guest anchoring, or I guess fill-in anchoring, like the 10 o'clock news, or whenever I would fill in on the weekend anchor desk or whatever. My least favorite thing was always that 5 minutes before we went on air. I didn't mind the hair and the makeup. Like, that was part of it, is going through that process. The problem would always be like, they'd be like, all right, 5 minutes to airtime. And she would show up in the studio, and then she's just like working on my dumb face while I sit there staring. Because that's a weird thing. Like,
well,
when you
like
get
you didn't like it. Come on, dude.
No,
someone making over you.
It's awkward. Think about it. Because, like, when you go get a haircut, you know, well, maybe not for you, but for those of us that don't have those locks, you know, when the barber, like, is in front of your face because they're making sure you're all straight up front, that moment where, like, my girl has her face, like, right here, and she's, like, messing with the bangs and all that. Well, not bangs, but you get it, the front of my hair. When she's doing that and her face is right here, I'm always, like, staring up at the ceiling like, oh, man, I just 77 ceiling tiles in here, 77. I turned into Rain Man for a second. 77 ceiling tiles, 77 lights, 77 lights, 77 lights.
Well, my hair's cut the same length all the way around. So, I mean, you know.
Anybody putting their face into your face is off. That's why the universal sign of we're about to fight is face into face. That is why the expression is I'm about to get in your face. Because it's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable.
Well, if she's not putting her face there and she's standing up, something else is there. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm not even going to pretend like that's not better. All right? And not even for that reason. Just eyeballs and eyeballs, a weird thing. All right. I've given you so far the 3 big things that I think determine this Super Bowl. For the Kansas City Chiefs, it is stop Saquon Barkley. And again, I think this is one of those you can't hope to stop him. You can only hope to contain him style of games. Keep Saquon under what? $114? What's his number? In fact, let me go see if I can find his over under number for the game, because I'm kind of curious as to where that's at. Saquon's rushing number, Lonzo, 111.5 yards. You know how many times you see a running back with an over-under rushing yardage of 111? Maybe like 2 to 3 times per game. Like maybe a couple of times per game. It's high, okay? Here is the third thing, and this one is another Kansas City one. You got to get rid of the ball. This is not a defense that I want. He certainly has the capability to. But this is not a defense that I want Kansas City's quarterback, Patrick Mahomes, hanging on to the football for even a millisecond longer than he has to. Because this is one of the most physical front sevens that you are dealing with. Then you add in that the Chiefs have seen a dip in their offensive lines numbers throughout the year. Joe Thuney is filled in at left tackle. Mike Caliendo, Trey Smith have struggled in this postseason to the point that there is talk of, and we are waiting to see if we're going to get any indication, but there is talk of the AFC Championship game offensive line perhaps getting shuffled up again for the Super Bowl. A couple of guys sliding into different positions to try to do better. 58 combined pass plays for the Chiefs in this in the 2 games leading up to this one. So 58 combined pass plays. Those 2 guards alone have allowed 11 pressures. 11. That is a pressure once out of every 5-ish times that they drop back to throw football. Now, again, if you're going to get pressured 1 out of every 5 times,
Yeah, Mahomes is the guy I want back there for sure, but that is still a stupid high number. How do you fix that? Got to get the ball out quick. Now, that might be a part of the reason that DeAndre Hopkins' receiving yards total in this game is only at 10.5 yards. As Lonzo pointed out, and I think correctly so, that might also have to do with the fact that this is a team that's going to have 9 different guys catch a football. There's only so many yards to go around.
There'll be some guy in the Super Bowl that you didn't even know was on the team, probably.
Yeah, who ends up with 12 yards, right?
Like Watson. Did you know there's a guy named Watson on the team? He like shows up like every 6-7 games, gets a catch, and then you don't see him again.
That's the Chiefs. What I need in this game is less 9 routes for Xavier Worthy and more crossing routes. I need these guys running 3 and ins, 5 and ins. I need cuts. I need slants. I need curls and comeback routes. I need Mahomes getting the ball away very quickly. And what I need is him getting the ball away very quickly in a way that impacts the middle of the field. I need it impacting the middle and outside backers of the Philadelphia Eagles. I need to be able to ensure that these EAGSLSEAGLS Eagles are going to have to play very honest in the middle. I need that to open up the run for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I need it to ensure that Mahomes doesn't get wrecked. Because while after the AFC Championship game, there is still the thought that Mahomes is getting superstar calls and taking advantage of them. Again, that's the game. No issue with it. You also have to get to a point where I think the understanding becomes, and even Zoe agreed to this, if he's going to not just keep getting the superstar calls, but he is going to play to those superstar calls, at some point, somebody somewhere is going to go, word. If he's getting a 15-yarder because I tackle him, I'm going to put the rough in the passer. I'm going to put the unnecessary in unnecessary roughness. I'm going to smoke this guy. Well, if Patrick Mahomes is back there running around, having a good time because the Chiefs can't get rid of the ball, that's where those hits start to come into play. Philadelphia behind Jalen Carter, who, by the way, if you want a fun little prop bet to enjoy, Jalen Carter is like 600 to 1 to win the MVP in this Super Bowl. If Jalen Carter, who I think is probably the best in the NFL at getting hands on a dude and holding up. I looked up Jalen Carter's stat numbers. Jalen Carter only had 4.5 sacks this year. You know who those sacks came against? Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Danny Dimes, Deshaun Watson. Those are the 4 guys that he got it credited for at least 1 sack against. Now, it's not a huge total of sacks, but you will also notice that the guys that he gets sacks against are guys that run the football, are guys that run the football and do so up the middle of the football field. Patrick Mahomes. He gets sacks against guys like Mahomes. If Jalen Carter, who is not a guy that even Patrick Mahomes, I don't think, is getting out of arm tackles if he gets hand on jersey, if Jalen Carter comes up with 3 or 4 sacks in this game on Patrick Mahomes, he's an MVP candidate right off the spot. I don't think he will, but it could. But between Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, Nolan Smith on the edge, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, the Eagles have a platoon of dudes who can cause chaos on a pass rush. They have an excellent set of edge rushers, which are exactly what you're looking for against guys who get outside of the pocket, like Patrick Mahomes. Guys who get outside of the pocket do not want to see edge rushers like Philadelphia has. And oh, by the way, the middle shut down with guys like Jalen Carter. If the Eagles are going to win this game, it is going to be in large part because they are able to take advantage of a, respectfully, very average Kansas City offensive line. They're going to be able to disrupt timing, and they are going to be able to keep Patrick Mahomes hemmed in and get tackles when they get hands on him because they've got the dudes to do that. Mahomes has got to get rid of the football to nullify that pass rush because if he's taken 3.5, 4.5 seconds to find guys down the football field, that's when the Eagles will start to dial up the pressure from the linebackers. That's when the Eagles, I think, will start to send extra dudes. And if they start sending extra dudes on top of a very sound pass rush that they already have, and a pass rush that is very good at keeping running quarterbacks hemmed into the pocket and going, look, bud, you might beat us by getting the ball out of the pocket, but you will not beat us outside of the pocket. If Mahomes is taking his time getting rid of the football and the Eagles start to send dudes up the gut from the second level, from the outside the third level, that's where the Chiefs find themselves in trouble. This has got to be an offense that from the rip, and Lonzo, you can answer this better than me, hasn't really had a quick strike element to its passing game in particular. You better have one for this game.
They haven't really tried.
They haven't needed to.
Yeah.
But I would also argue this is the best, at least, linebacker and defensive line core you have played any game so far this year. They attack and they are sound when they do it. If Mahomes is taking 3.5, 4 to get rid of the ball, that's where you guys will find yourself in trouble.
It seemed like I heard something similar about Buffalo's defense. So, I mean,
they were in the game with you.
For
the
sure.
difference was
who was it?
Buffalo did. That's also fair. That's also fair.
I mean, it's been a year that's been, and it's been almost 2 years where it's been completely hard to judge. I mean, you just can't judge. Oh no, it's a close game. Every game's a close game. I mean, the Chiefs go out 2 touchdowns ahead, the other team will come back. It just always seems to work out that way. So if there's a blowout in the Super Bowl, it will be a complete shock.
I would not disagree. Oh, I don't think there's a blowout happening either way, just so we're clear. I don't think anybody's getting blown out. What I will say, ultimately, is that if that game is lost by Kansas City, it will be because of the Philadelphia front seven getting hands on Mahomes, which is something Buffalo could not do. The difference is I trust Philly, even though I don't know if it'll get here. I trust Philly in a one-score game, not because of Nick Sirianni, not because of their offensive coordinator, not because of their play call, but because unlike the Bills, they'll keep giving it to Saquon when the Bills didn't keep giving it to James Cook. There's your ball game.
Brown Show presents Twitter.
I don't know why I talked like this at the end there.
I don't know either. Kansas City playing with a mismatched line like the good portion of the season, including taking their all-star guard, moving them out to tackle.
Fooney's played 3 different positions on the line this year?
Yeah, he's really good, though.
He is really good.
All right, the first thing that's asking is Canadian tuxedo.
Canadian tuxedo. Oh, this is because I saw this. This is because
I didn't know what this was until now, so.
Oh, gosh darn it. Who was it? Somebody showed up. I guess there was an awards ceremony.
It was the Grammys.
The Grammys last night. I don't care, and I didn't watch. And
obviously, neither did I.
But somebody showed up in this really forward fashion-y outfit, but it was all denim, right? It was one of the women, and it was low-rise jeans.
I know what you're saying, but it was about Kendrick Lamar.
Oh.
Who was completely dressed in denim and
that's fair. Apparently there were a couple of people.
See, I see stuff like that, and it's like that's how we dressed in the '80s. I don't see any,
Fashion's a circle, buddy.
Is it? And some people just keep that fashion, knowing they'll come back a couple times.
Kanye's woman showed up straight up naked last night.
She did.
Straight up naked.
She did, and
not even kinda.
There's a picture of this kid looking around the corner. And you can't blame the kid.
If you've ever wanted the perfect illustration of how I know that there is a 2-tier justice system, go ahead and roll up to the park wearing what Yee's lady wore last night. Your ass will be in jail for a year.
Yep. For
Just
sure.
straight up naked.
Yeah, she is naked.
Not even like a lot of women have worn sheer tops and you could see the lady parts up top, but they wore a thong or whatever. This straight up saw every bit of her.
Yeah, be careful looking at it at work.
Yeah, don't go on Twitter today.
Yeah. All right. The next thing that's asking is Buddy Holly.
Ooh, wee, ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly.
That's not Buddy Holly.
Today, if I recall correctly, is indeed February 3rd, the day the music died. Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, passing away in a plane accident.
Hey, man, don't forget about the Big Bopper.
And the Big Bopper, that's right.
Don't forget the Big Bopper.
Richie Valens, and if I recall correctly, and I'm trying to remember, there was somebody else that was supposed to be on that plane. They left a party to fly to another show. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but somebody else was supposed to be in that plane, and they last minute were like, "Yeah, like I don't have a great feeling. I'm not going to fly with you guys." And then the plane went down, which of course is the famous reference in Don McLean's American Pie, the day the music died. I'm going to tell you this: I saw the Buddy Holly play in London when I was a child, and my parents took me over there. I saw the Buddy Holly play in London, and I have been a huge fan of Buddy Holly and the Crickets ever since.
All right,
love Buddy Holly.
The next antaxing is LA Knight.
Yeah. We got to wait till Fight Club on Thursday.
People are really upset that LA Knight is not getting the run, and it's really more about Jay winning.
It is more about Jay winning. And I'll tell you what I think the conversation is about, or at least it is for me, is the fact that Jay Uso is fun. He's over. He's got all the stuff that makes him fun. He's not a particularly great wrestler, but he's main eventing WrestleMania.
He's a better wrestler than LA Knight.
You are so Joey B, the boys in the chat. You're wrong. LA Knight's a phenomenal wrestler.
All right. You
phenomenal
just called for your friends to support you. He's not a better wrestler than Jay Uso.
Yes, he is.
He's not.
Yes, he is.
He's
but
not.
We'll do this on Fight Club. The point I think here, probably not, but the point I think here about this is the reason Jay Uso won the Royal Rumble and is going to main event WrestleMania is because he's over with the crowd right now. He's selling merch out of left field, not because he's a particularly great showman or wrestler. I love Jay. It's about the yeet.
You don't sound like you
the
love
point
Jay.
they were making here was LA Knight was getting the same reaction, not louder, early in his debut with WWE, and he never got the push that Jay's getting right now. And I think people are going, wait, if you're going to start listening to the crowd, why were you not doing that during the LA Knight run? At least that's my opinion.
All right. LA Knight, 57 years old. All right. And finally,
57?
He's at least 57. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were being serious.
Yeah, dude. Come on.
You're a hater.
And the last thing is Speed is Xing.
All right. I don't know who Speed is. He's a streamer on YouTube and apparently very famous.
By the way, 215 million views of him getting destroyed by Braun Breaker.
He checked into the Rumble after my dog, the Hustle Monster, Akira. I got real upset because me and the boys drew numbers. Whatever numbers you got, those were your entrance. I got that spot with Tozawa when he got jumped. I'm like, oh, here comes Dwayne. And then out comes this YouTube streamer. Braun Breaker speared him so hard, I genuinely thought he broke his neck. Like, he got rocked. 225 million views. And I'm going to tell you, I'm about 2,000 of them because I can't stop watching it.
Yeah, I've watched it a couple times today myself.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm going to give that kid, I don't know anything about him. I got no interest in him. I'm going to give credit because he took a bump like a champ in that spot. Y'all have a great rest of your day. I'm WEEKᵹ. I'll punch you in the face. I don't know why that sounded like that. We'll come back tomorrow and do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later. I don't know what I'm doing. That's fair. That's fair. That's absolutely conspiracy theory I'm behind.
No, that's the real reason why everyone's mad. It's a Nepo baby thing.
I mean, I get it. Like, I love Jay Uso. I yeet with everybody else, Cole. We're yeeting all over the place. He's not a good singles
How
wrestler.
many people are second and third generation wrestlers? Like, you can say that about a ton of people.
Oh, I'm saying it about Charlotte Flair right now. I'm over Charlotte Flair immediately.
That's my friend. You leave her alone. Why did Randy Orton get a push all the time? Because of his dad?
Yeah,
I mean, name a wrestler whose family's not been in wrestling.
It's
I guess LA Knight.
Right. But were any of those people that you've mentioned have family member who was on the board of directors and gets
told you when LA Knight got that championship shot, they put him in there too early and he's just going to fade and people are going to be upset about it. And no, he's still popular with the crowd, but he's not that great of a wrestler and he never has been.
LA Knight's better than Jey Uso. I will wait.
I don't think so. If you go back and watch Usos versus New Day, any of those
Usos, single wrestlers, LA Knight's better than Jey Uso as a singles man.
No, your anger is misplaced.
No, my anger is spot on.
No.
He is a great tag team wrestler, and the chemistry with Jimmy is undeniable. He is one of the greatest tag team wrestlers. I will go with that. He's not a good singles guy. He's He's a spots guy, and that's okay. There's room for spots guys. But main eventing WrestleMania, even as somebody, this is great. I get Pensacola, Florida on the map as a WrestleMania main eventer. I'm all in, but he's not a good singles wrestler. I'm not against the push. I'm just making the argument.
You sure
that
do sound like you're against the
not
push.
at all. I'm not against the push. My point is, we're giving the people what they want. Sure, I'm in for it. I was eating all over the place Saturday night, Michael.
No different than Daniel Bryan. No different.
Daniel Bryan's one of the 4 best wrestlers
No,
on
you're
planet
missing
Earth.
the point. Daniel Bryan over with the crowd.
Correct.
And
And one of the, at the time, arguably the best wrestler on the planet.
Still now, if he was in there, he would be.
Correct.
But we're just talking.
Jey Uso was not.
We're just comparing Jey Uso and LA Knight, and Jey Uso is definitely a better wrestler than LA Knight.
No. This might be our first.
And LA Knight's finishing move is stupid and it's clumsy. It's just not. It's just not.
Jey's
good.
just the super kick and a splash.
No, which is
It's
much
a splash.
It's much smoother than the fake looking try to cutter thing.
It's a
that-
splash.
Yeah, LA Knight.
50 guys on the roster do a splash.
LA Knight is so lame.
You're just a hater.
No, I'm not.
You
I'm
are.
giving you my opinion of a wrestler. It doesn't. I can say I don't like someone, and it doesn't make me a hater. He's just not as good a wrestler as Jey is.
I just completely disagree. Completely disagree.
It's questionable if he's better than Solo, who's lesser than Jey.
I would put, just in terms of in-ring wrestling, I would put LA Knight over both those guys.
You would,
Yes.
Of course, you would. We need to find someone who's objective.
Joey B.
No, he's not.
Get in here.
No, he's not.
Joey, I'm gonna promise you right now, Joey B watches more wrestling than you,
It
me, and
doesn't
everyone
make
you know
that
combined.
doesn't mean he's objective. I mean, objective would be putting someone who's never watched wrestling and put them in a room and have them watch both.
I'd be willing to
wrestlers
do
and
that.
see
All right, that's it for us. We're gonna go. We're gonna go debate
what's
wrestling
Go
for
fight.
the next.
Go fight. It's gonna be a fight up in here.
Yeah. See you guys back here tomorrow. Yeet.